How's it going, everyone? I think it's working. I'm going to wait until I see visual confirmation that it's working before I. Yep, there it goes. Doing something. Thinking about it.
Did you
Connect.
push the buttons in the right order?
Yep, I see it this time. We are live. How's it going, everyone? And welcome to another episode of No Excuses on YouTube.com. The favorite show host, Art Still.
And Volasal led no Fernerian because we haven't heard a peep out of him all day. He has not been responding to messages. Haven't heard from him most of the week, actually. I don't think I have anyway. There's no message history yet.
I can tab out and check.
Last time I have not received a message from Fern since the 13th of March, so I don't have anything useful to contribute in that regard.
I got a message
However,
on the 22nd, is the last time I heard from him. I think that was exactly last week during the show.
however, we are here to bring you the latest news and games commentary for the week, or at least we will attempt to do so. In lieu of having the full team here, it's just going to be more of a clown show as usual. But if you'd like to get involved with the clown show, you can do so by sending us email, noexcusesvtw@gmail.com. You can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw. You can join us in the Discord server, which is the best place to communicate with the show hosts and other listeners to the show. And you can get there by clicking on the link provided in the show description underneath the archive on YouTube.
Yes, indeed. So we're going to go kill some crocodiles on the show
I do not
today.
like these crocodiles. No, sir, I do not.
They are.
I just met the crocodiles today, and they do not like me.
I think I like the thing I needed to farm for Chiori's boss kill materials even less than the crocodiles. But at least they were fast, even though they would just murder two of my characters every time.
The crocodiles, by contrast, constantly drain your energy, and they constantly attack, and there's two of them, so you have to spend all your time running. Is there a fast way to get to the crocodiles? Or do you just have to drop down that hole every time?
You just gotta jump down the hole every time.
I'm not a fan of these crocodiles.
Yep. The business or bishops or whatever they're called, they're known for being quite rough.
Oh my goodness, they aggro before you hit the ground too.
Oh, yep, there they are. Oh, they're gonna hop to the other side, aren't they? Might as well just. Oh no, they're gonna do a ranged attack. I guess if you're not on the ground, they don't auto hop to the other side.
No, they did the hop just before you came down here.
Oh, okay. I was like, usually they open with a hop. See if I can the lucky crit on the wall.
Oh, there goes all my energy. I got tagged. Like a Betty.
Oh, there we go. So yeah, we've got we'll probably just be murdering these things very slowly. As you do when it comes to the crocodiles.
I don't know, I feel like this takes a little bit too much concentration, to be honest. Maybe not for you, but for me.
Oh, mistakes were made.
Ah, mistakes were definitely made.
That's okay, Barbara can fix it.
We do so rely on her to fix things.
I wish it was practical to kill the ice one first, but the ice one doesn't jump on the wall.
Good grief. So this boss is unfortunately required to level up Yaimiko, who I have and have not done anything with, due to the abusive requirement of needing to fight these bastards.
And before you can fight them, you got to do the whole special zone down here to get them open.
Well, I just did a single road route. Like, I didn't do anything really on the way. I just came straight here. Went straight down without touching the sides.
I see. Yeah, I haven't finished down there. So
I did not know this place was here. I was actually a little surprised that there's so much.
there's another hole.
Yeah. Well, I haven't been down the main hole yet.
Yeah, that hole appears to be entirely optional. There's a whole bunch of hilichurls you ate data in over a time trial in this random Statue of the Seven and Sumeru I teleported to.
This is the only place I've gotten Sumeru to teleport to, and it was a product of my attempting to see if I could walk to Sumeru.
Yes, you
You can walk to Sumeru.
Yeah, I accidentally walked in here while exploring the perimeter of the hole. So yeah, we're gonna try and bring you some news and commentary this week. It's probably gonna be a pretty rambly week.
Implying that this is in some way from what it is like every week.
Probably gonna be more rambly than normal. So yeah. Alrighty. I don't think either of us have very much week to talk about. I can try and stretch mine a little bit. But you can go ahead and do yours, whatever you got.
Right. Well, it's not a lot to go on, I don't think. Let's see. I mean, it was Easter, so I've been busy with a bunch of other stuff. Like at work, it's basically been preparing for Easter because it always goes nuts. Either immediately before Easter or immediately after Easter, although technically speaking, it can split either way, depending on the composition of what different clients decide they want to do.
Crocodiles are back.
All right. Book to get there, so I'm very bad at navigating that. Yeah. What did I spend most of my time doing? Anyway, the Blue Archive is still, as we are finishing off the Kivotus Festival event. I mostly skip the story on reruns, but I actually read the whole story again on this one because I enjoyed it. It was just a very silly, fun story. And the Cheerbot is there. Everybody loves the Cheerbot.
They're oppressing me.
You're feeling oppressed?
I am.
He's climbing that wall. I'm getting a lot of lag.
I'm getting a little bit, but it's not
Not oppressing you.
yeah. And just juice enough to turn the cannonballs on before the electro crocodile got up. Almost do it again. Just a little bit more.
Why me?
There we go. Cannonballs are back.
Coming through. Coming through.
I can't move. I'm in the middle of my ult animation. I mean, I guess that means I'm vulnerable, but
that's the big advantage to two people is that you actually can use your ult because you have opportunities.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use my ult now since I'm invariably gonna get hit by this.
I'm gonna make a bad decision. I'm gonna turn on the Barbara water sprinkler and freeze myself. Yep, there we go. Or fix it. Cannonballs. You must have almost done all the damage to that ice one because I only hit it once for a decent hit.
Well, the thing is, it was pretty much mono-focused on me while you were fighting the other one. How many of these fins do I need anyway, in total? Because I don't want to do this guy any more than I have to.
A lot, like every character, every 5-star character. I know the last step needs 20, and the step before needs 12.
What world level am I currently on? I need 46! Ah! That's a lot of...
A lot of
It's a lot of
crocodiles.
freaking... A lot of crocodiles. Because I'm not fighting this guy by myself. It just takes too long. With both of them focused on me. Making my life hard. Anyway, yeah, so I think that there's a new event coming next. Well, when I say new, it's new for the global server. But where did you go in?
Random spot in Inazuma on the middle island. You can go visit
But
Goro's camp.
but yeah, I can't remember which event it is. But I think it's probably Trip Trap Train or one of those.
When do we get Penguin Emmy?
A ways away yet.
'Cause
That's a few events out from now. A few new events out from now.
I don't really care how good she is. Those penguins are adorable.
She is kind of a boober monster.
It doesn't matter. She got penguins.
I guess that's so. I mean, Meltrillis also has penguins, and she's definitely not a boomer monster.
She is a penguin,
It's,
isn't she?
she's wearing a penguin parka, yeah. Although she insists that it's not a penguin. It is, in fact, a leviathan.
I see.
And she would get very upset if you suggest otherwise.
Like, if you want to give a character like a free 20 or 30 points from me, just give him cute animal friends.
But you didn't build Yao Yao.
Yao Yao, that thing throws radishes, and radishes are nasty.
I can't say I have a great deal of experience with radishes.
I've had them a few times, and I'm like, I'm not a fan of radish. No radish, please. I'm not Siegfried.
Um, okay.
Siegfried in Grand Blue loves radishes so much, one of his weapons is literally a giant radish.
So, like Velvetorius and Sardines.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, so Blue Archive is doing its thing. I got relatively good clearance on most of the missions. Like I did all of the challenge missions for once. But the event is so abbreviated in terms of the actual duration that I don't know how you could possibly clear going around the track unless you did a bunch of pyro refreshes every day. I just can't see it. I can't see how you could do it.
Yeah.
Because the new version is 500 resources per roll on the dice, compared to the 200 of the original, but you only need to do, I think, 20 laps to complete the event, but you've only got like 11 or 12 days to do it in, and if you're going to farm anything else in the shop, then it's going to become rough quickly trying to get around. So I think I managed to make like 14 or so far, and there's like a day and a half left or something like that. Not much. So yeah, it's a bit shorter than I'd like. They've also redone the rewards on the track, so it rewards different at a different pace now, and they just give you all of Track Hasumi's elephs straight out of the gate when you do story mission 1. So you complete story mission 1 and they give you Track Hasumi and like 620 elephs for her, which are 620 dead elephs if you happen to have already done the event before.
I guess
So they're just gonna sit there like a trophy.
Yeah. Yeah, that was real handy to have when we were first starting the game, though.
Yeah, I mean she's still usable for blue content if you don't mind crit molding, but she doesn't really have anything except stats going for her. So you're pretty much constrained to situations where all you want is somebody who can shoot.
Shoot
But
one thing real good.
yeah, shoot the one thing. But I mean, her damage is only like competitive with her contemporaries. It's not like better, even if you if you wait for her fully charged, then she's still only like okay-ish. She's not she's not remarkable by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, any character in a gacha is going to get power creeped eventually. That's just the way of things. There's not really anything unique about that. It just do be how it be. You're going to bully the ice one this time?
I'm gonna try to bully it before I go break the rock. Oh.
How,
I was
I was
being
like, how are you just standing in that?
I couldn't see through the ice
It's
one to
like
see the ice things coming at me because I have my
I
sound
thought
off right
maybe you
now.
had a. I thought maybe you'd found a dead zone that they can't do anything in, or something like that.
No, I couldn't see and I couldn't hear because I have my sound off right now. Oh, Barbara, I'm gonna need you. We're gonna have to Barbara early.
Oh, I got tagged.
Give me those stupid crystals under your butt. I can't vacuum them. Oh, he's on the wall and I'm stuck in ult animation. So yeah, I am not played very much of any gacha game at the moment, so I'm a little out of the loop on what the gachas have been up to.
Please finish him off.
Okay, we got Barbara doing Barbara things while my cannons get me ammo. Can't run around and pick up on these really fat bosses. It's really obnoxious because I can't run around and pick up the crystals.
Yeah, I particularly have trouble with the whopper flowers, the giant whopper flowers, and with the doggo.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I feel like the doggo just sort of squats on the crystals, and you can't get them out from under his legs.
yeah. The worst one is the world boss you unlock for doing uh broke Archon's quest.
Oh, I haven't unlocked that one yet.
Jungly, I was brain farting on his name. Uh, he is so fat, like his girth is so huge, despite being a quadruped, that he moves so little though. So he just kind of stands there and sits on the crystals, and unless my vacuum's up, I just can't get any of my crystals.
It do be that way. Yes, fat bosses crystallize. They don't mix. One of the many unforeseen drawbacks of crystallize as an elemental mechanic.
Yeah, like they should
But
just. I don't know. If you want to bring Geo up to snuff, you could just add the vacuum effect to those stupid crystals that Navia's skill has if you hold it. Just give that to every Geo character as a baseline.
I mean, the thing is that you always you kind of want to hold them sometimes, and sometimes you want to use them depending on the situation. And maybe there are characters that already have a hold mechanic that you need to exploit for targeting that would get in the way, or I don't know, like for instance, what should I call it? Using is that what her name is? I can't remember. The spear girl from the theater troupe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Yunjin. She has a hold mechanic that is used for generating shields and charging her damage and so on. So you couldn't like bolt that to something without interfering with the crystallize, because you don't necessarily want to pick up crystals while you're using that, because while you've got it held down, you have an internally generated shield. But if you pick up another one, it's just going to deplete both of them at the same time when they get hit.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, there's lots of little barbs in that solution. But overall, I do still think Geo needs help, and I don't really like what they did like in a sense, I appreciate what they did with Navia because it showed that they're actually thinking about what is necessary to make damage geo be a thing. But aside from that, I don't like the fact that, it's only going to be like new premium 5-star characters that are going to get any improvements. And also like that's those I don't feel like those methods are like but ultimately what Navia did was basically make a character who's got numbers so high that she trivializes any health bar in the game once you hit. Like if you had completed a crit build with her, you might as well not play the game anymore because every monster will die. If you could reliably crit with your ammo and
Mm-hmm.
you solve the ammo problem on top of that, what game is left to you exactly?
Yeah, it's like that with a bunch of the new characters they're releasing. It seems Nouvelette's the same way. He's not as bursty, but it doesn't matter because he has infinite health and can just shoot the laser beam forever.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's like I feel like they are getting to the top of the power creep curve now.
Yeah, we
Which I mean, they've. I think that if they stopped right now, it wouldn't affect the game too badly.
but they're not going to
If
because they
they,
need people to
they're
roll in
not
new
going to.
characters.
Yeah, they need to have the next big thing, and which makes me wonder if maybe they're just planning to perpetuate until like the main story is over, and then after that, it's just going to start getting out of hand. Because I mean, the well, I mean, I'm thinking about the way that MiHoYo has done these things in the past, and like the only thing that we've really got to look at it as an example is Honkai Third, and Honkai Third is a disaster area as far as power creep is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only way, like I'm not quite sure how Honkai Third does it, but I would assume that the way things are going, either all of the upcoming story content is going to be trivialized for anybody who wants to participate even half pie in the meta because current characters are so much more powerful than the original crop of characters. Or like on the other hand, maybe they just have to keep giving out welfare characters that while they're going to be way worse than the new exclusive 5 stars, the limited 5 stars, they're probably going to be better than the old 5 stars were. Simply
Yeah,
because they have to be in order to enable players to participate in like story content and events and stuff without being meta horse.
yeah. I think they'll reach a point where they either have to do that or they have to just give up and bite the bullet and do some kind of strengthening quest deal for older characters.
But if you look at the vector of character strength in Genshin, though, it's gone the opposite way. As the 5 stars have gotten more powerful, 4 stars have gotten proportionally less powerful. Like the reason why you can have people like there are people who main Amber still. There are people like me who main Ningguang. Like that's still totally serviceable. It's definitely not good. It's definitely not meta. But you can still do it as I'm continuing to demonstrate by being able to survive at least, although like everything above a lightning lava chill can one shot me. And lava chills will two shot me. Or one shot me if I have any health lost. But like though that first crop of 4 stars is still really serviceable. Like people still use official people still use Sucrose, people still use Ningguang, people still use a lot of those. Bennett, of course. Bennett will never be power crept, it looks like. And like one of the most dominant characters in the meta is Xiangling, depending on your build.
Yeah, she's the best Bennett partner for getting the attack buff up, and she's just the best
And
pyro
every team
applicator.
wants Bennett.
Yeah,
Every team wants Bennett. If every team's already got Bennett, then you might as well chuck Xiangling in there as well. So the 4 stars that they came out with originally are incredibly good. There's no two ways about it. But the current crop, like, can you imagine bothering to put Farazan on a team or to put Dory on a team?
Dory, no. I have Farazan as my animo character for exploration purposes, and
Well, it's not really a
that's
it's not
it.
really the exploration meta doesn't include Farazan though.
No, but in the stupid desert, there's sand piles everywhere that you need to blow away with wind. So I just have her there, leveled up just enough to take one hit in case of emergency.
Save me.
Oh, are you at the Crocs? I didn't even see you go down.
Yes. They see me. They see me very much.
Oh lord, they coming. Oh, now they see me. Why did you change target, you stupid crocodile?
They are just that way inclined.
I hope there's an invisible wall there because I almost jumped right off the edge.
Why me?
It's okay. We got
Why
one.
me?
We finally got a good big crit. It might kill the purple one before it hops again. There it goes. Go ahead and get the cannonballs going. Oh, no, don't do that. Yeah, I can definitely tell you've upped your rolled level because the crits are much smaller and the baby hits are very baby. I don't just ruffle bop the bosses anymore. I have to actually sit here and build ammo. Like, what?
Yeesh.
Where more could they go with power creep though, without just totally busting the game?
Well, I mean, the thing is that that's what they did in Honkai Third. They did just bust the game, as far as I can tell. Like they just had to keep, raising enemy hit points and raising the power level of the characters alongside each other, and it seems like they've that it's going to spiral ever upward, because they like Honkai Third has been out for 7 years and they have now officially finished part one,
Oh dear.
as I understand it. Like Arc One is now done. Now I don't know whether Arc One means like I don't know exactly what they mean by that. That could mean that like maybe A Realm Reborn through to Endwalker is also Arc One. Hard to say, but yeah, it's I don't know what they're planning on with that. They've shut down games before due to popularity dropping in terms of global servers, and at that point things pretty much go into maintenance mode. But yeah, I don't know what they are going to do with Genshin. Like, there's a whole. I mean, they must be nearly at the end of Arc One for Genshin as well, because there's like Pyro Archon,
Yeah, you have
and
two more two more
once they
nations, and then two more after that. I think that are the special zones, Conria
well
and the other one,
the
Celestia.
thing like if you're going to pitch where you're looking at story wise, there's only like one more Gnosis to get, isn't there?
Uh,
For
yeah, but I assume we'll still have to go to Chesnaya to do shenanigans there.
Yeah, but I mean, whether or not they whether or not they make those other places into like full-fledged patches the way they have with Sumeru and Fontaine and so on like that, remains to be seen whether or not they'll do that with like Celestia,
Yeah,
because it
well,
doesn't look very big. I'm here to tell you.
yeah, they did say they want to do it with Conria.
Yeah, well, that's more sort of a time travel thing, probably.
Yeah, that or we'll dig it up from the ground and go hunt play in ancient ruins or something.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm sure they don't want their cash cow to stop right there. So presumably they've got something planned, but yeah, I don't know. The What I think that you really need to look at is if there are any important untapped IP characters, I guess, because like as we now know, Raiden Mei is going to appear everywhere, and they will not stop it from happening. Other characters might only appear in a couple of things, and Genshin was intended to be the direct sequel to Honkai Third, but they changed the plans partway through development. Star Rail is being regarded by a lot of people as a spin-off, but its name starts with Honkai, which is pretty much a dead giveaway. And considering that they share characters, like actual characters, not just character likenesses or alternates, as they're sometimes called.
Like Welt.
Yeah. So, our boy Welt is Welt proper. And it's worth at least reading up a little bit of Honkai lore to work out, what his dealio is and why he was so hell-bent on joining the Astral Express. The short version is that the Honkai World's version of Himiko was one of his students in college.
I see.
And basically that Himiko gave up on all her dreams because, well, they had to fight the Honkai War, among other things. And basically she had a really crappy life in a lot of ways. But he basically, what Himiko in Star Rail does now is essentially what Himiko in Honkai Third World's like lifelong dream was to do. Just basically sort of explore the cosmos type of thing.
I see.
So yeah, so basically he's got Welt's got a little bit of saving people syndrome, and he has been sort of up and down the shonen power scaling curve repeatedly throughout his career. Like he has spent time as like a total normie, and he's also spent time as one of the most powerful beings in the setting. Depending.
I see.
But it's implied that he's still pretty powerful in Honkai Star Rail, and that he's kind of sandbagging a little bit. That his black hole powers are supposedly a bit more overwhelming than he lets on. But yeah. Is it time to go back? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting in front of the crocodiles.
I'm not looking at the timer at all, so
I'm just occasionally checking while we're hopping on the mushroom. And just go back to the crocodiles if I notice they're up.
But yeah, so power-wise, I think that it's sort of hard to tell whether they'll go within the framework of what they can do. The sort of the free roaming combat that Genshin has sort of gives them a room for a lot of like exploration in terms of the actual implementation of, what does it mean to do damage, what does it mean to support a team type of thing. Like it's not needful necessarily that they follow very strictly in line with one particular way of doing things.
Did you just switch targets in the middle of that to you?
It seems like it.
Because they were definitely shooting me first and then decided you tasted better.
Yeah, I was mid-ult as well, so I couldn't recalibrate.
Oh, got another big crit. But yeah, it's like the way they've gone, if they were to change any characters to be even more potent than Navia and Nuvolette, like at least Navia has to set up her ammo and Nuvolette has to set up his source drop bullets. Or his source drop droplets or whatever they're called. But that's not that hard as long as you have an enabler for it. But that's still at least something. The only thing they could do is just have, like, the Navia that skips the bullets.
Yeah. I don't think that it's not something that I've ever seen them discuss, like, as creators on creator streams and that sort of thing. I'm not sure if it's something that they are cognizant of as an issue, because it's entirely possible that, for overweening commercial issues, they don't actually regard it as important that you maintain power balance. Like, I mean, I know that they had a discussion regarding Acheron's technique, like world technique, which allows her to bypass battles by one-shotting targets. But that particular expression of power is more about, this will actually subvert the mechanic of fighting entirely, and in that sense, that makes it worth discussing, I guess, from their point of view. But that's not really the same thing as, oh, well, the numbers on this character make this other character strictly redundant.
Like,
And I
yeah,
know I'm certainly finding that to a certain extent in Honkai Star Rail, in that I'm sort of muscling my way through using uh, Natasha as a healer, but Natasha's like strictly worse than Huahua, strictly worse than Gallagher, strictly worse than Lynx, probably strictly worse than Locha. Like, there's not really any good way of describing that character other than having been power creeped as sort of like a launch free 4-star, because you get Natasha in the course of the story. You've probably got her by now, right?
yeah, I got her on the gacha too, so I got her at Eidolon 1, at least. I got 2 out of the gacha.
Right. I have her on like Eidolon 5 or something, which means that she's, and like my usual sort of like my rough rule of thumb, but for how MiHoYo does 5 stars at launch is that approximately give or take about 20%, a 4-star E6 is going to be the same as a 5-star E0 in terms of usefulness, I guess you could say. Like, that was sort of like where I was pitching to begin with. But if you look at like do you think that E6 of, say, well, I mean, the simplest example is like my C6 Ningguang is never going to come within a country mile of your Navia at C0.
My
It's just
also
not
has her
possible.
weapon though, but even without her weapon, it would still be a huge gap.
Well, I have the optimal weapon for Ningguang as well, but like, because what we're talking about here is conceptually, what does a 4-star relative to a 5-star, and I have a 4-star with the ideal weapon for that 4-star. They're never going to do they're never going to do signature weapons per se for 4 stars, and that's part of what it means to be downgraded in power from being a 4-star. But I'm reasonably confident that my Ningguang is at C6 is at least as good as my best case scenario Klee at C0.
Yeah,
Because Ningguang has defensive abilities that Klee doesn't have. Ningguang has targeting abilities Klee doesn't have. Ningguang has flexibility things
Ningguang doesn't
that
have
Klee
a
doesn't have.
parabolic arc on her shots.
She also doesn't have a parabolic arc on her shots. However, her numbers will never be as good as Klee's. Like, Klee's damage ceiling is always going to be higher than Ningguang's when perfectly built. In isolation.
Yeah, against
Klee's
the
main
target
problem
dummy that doesn't exist.
Klee's main problem is that she only really works in monopyro teams, apparently, when people hash the numbers out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what I'm saying is that their idea of the ideal relationship and power between what people can reasonably get as a 4-star and what people can reasonably get as a 5-star is out of whack. I think that it is reasonable, given the fact that they always put 3 characters on rate up at a time, and you're going to see the same characters go on rate up repeatedly, usually, for 4-stars. It's not out of the question to place like C4, C5, C6 of a 4-star character in the same rough ballpark in terms of ability to get a hold of them as a C0 5-star. It's not impossible. You can do it. Unless you can only pull Dory, in which case you're a special person. But
Freaking Dory.
I mean, if you look at Dory, like, who do you think is more powerful and more useful, Chiori or Dory C6?
Like,
They were on the same banner. Dory C6 is not useful at all.
Yeah, Chiori is an ammo generator. And a construct maker if you use other Geo characters.
But yeah, it's just not. They don't seem to be interested in maintaining that relationship between the premium part of the player base and the free to play part of the player base. And generally speaking, they've had a good conversion rate from they had special circumstances due to COVID, but they have had a good conversion rate of free to players to premium players. Like I put a little bit of money in to do like battle passes and stuff,
Yeah.
but
Need them
it's not.
books.
Yeah, it's the books really. The books is what it comes down to.
Need that more on
Um,
them books.
I don't know how they can if they continue to deviate like this. If 4 stars become weaker and weaker the way they have been, and 5 stars keep climbing this power curve till everybody is like Neuvillette or Navia, then they're going to be in trouble because those people are going to get really bored. Lots of people are extremely bored. Like I've seen like content creators for Genshin say things like, "Well, I've basically stopped doing videos on metacomps and things
Yeah,
because they're no fun anymore. The only end game you've got in Genshin is Spiral Abyss, and if you have Neuvillette, you can solo Spiral Abyss right to the top.
yeah,
You don't need a team. He's just that powerful.
yeah. You've got.
So, go on.
Oh, I was gonna say you've got
So
their power.
they
This is our lag is getting in the way because I keep talking into
yeah,
you.
we're very slightly out of sync here.
Yeah.
Very slightly, just enough that we talk over each other.
Okay, you go first, and then I'll go.
Basically, the what I'm seeing from content creators is that most of the more prolific ones with like a higher profile are going in the direction of basically just working on content about novelty comps. Using the bad characters and trying to get through Spiral Abyss because Spiral Abyss is all that they've got to do for the most part, which is, I think, probably the big flaw with the longevity of Genshin is keeping people interested. Because if you can't keep the story churning out, I mean, they've been doing a reasonable job of that, but that's all that they've got really because they aren't putting in challenging content for people to do. So, and they in this modern world, people rely to a large extent on content creators to do their game promotion for them now. They can't have those people lose interest. They can't afford it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've seen a whole lot of videos of like, can we do the Amber? How few characters can we take with Amber as our frontliner through Spiral Abyss? Can we get Baron Bunny into every cutscene in Mondstadt? Like, this is the level of content generation we're at now, and nothing, and very little about metacomps because you look at the power curve in this game. You've got the big breakers. The Zhongli patch happened, but he was still Geo. And while his shield was strong and allowed survivability, it didn't increase kill speeds other than allow you more uptime.
Yeah, like there's a sort of a love-hate relationship between the player base and Geo.
Yeah.
It's sort of the same situation with Losha in Star Rail, in that Losha is not bad by any stretch of the imagination. As far as sustains go, he's really good. The problem is that he doesn't make clear times faster. He just means that it's super comfortable on
Yeah.
account of you're much, much, much less likely to have something go pear-shaped and die, which is the same role that Zhongli plays in most teams. Like, including Zhongli in a team is to make your rest of your team more durable. If you are like Ari and me and you main a Geo driver, then Zhongli plays a secondary role as well in terms of like, anti-Geo shred and giving you the Geo resonance and so on. But for most teams, Zhongli is just insurance.
Yeah, he's just there to either protect you from stray hits or allow you more uptime so you can ignore a mechanic or two or a hit or two. But their next big power hump was was noticeable on the list was Raiden Shogun, the one of the ones that have stuck around. And Raiden Shogun radically jumped power in the game by either of her roles as the main driver or as an energy generator. Both of them, she was turboficial on steroids for applying electro. She generated so much energy for the entire team, it was bananas. Did you jump in the hole?
Yes.
I can't, because we're slightly lagging. I don't see when you you jump in the hole. And she was a perfectly workable driver that was fairly strong out the gate, just on her own. Grab these. So so she radically decreased kill times, and people, I assume at the time, must have been like, man, it's not going to get much better than this. And they were right in that she stuck around in the meta, but they just decided to keep on creeping that power. And the next big one that stuck around is the next Archon with Nahida, where Nahida enables really silly high damage Dendro teams that just do comical amounts of damage with enough elemental mastery stacked on Nahida. And you can trivialize the whole game that way, but at least it requires more than one character still. Like, you still have to have somebody to enable the elemental effects. It's not totally solo. And then we got Farina, which did a whole lot of stuff for characters that need their health to fluctuate, and just was in general the best utility damage steroid and healer. And you could still pair her with Bennett for even more attack up. So, just crazy bananas increased the clear time and survivability with Farina. And but she still required another character to enable it because she herself could not do very much damage. And then we got Neuvillette and as the next one. And he completely redefined what it meant to be offensive Hydro and was so overtuned that he can solo pretty much everything in the game.
And defensive and sustain.
Yeah, like he can do it himself. And that's the point where I think they broke. And Navia is almost as good. In world content, I think she's better than Neuvillette running around because you can just bop two enemies out of any pack of mobs that isn't a Fatui pack or a fat pack and just delete them with her cannon shots, and then just switch to somebody normal to finish off the last guys until your shots come off cooldown. And like, if you have Navia, world content is trivialized completely. But world content is not the end game anyway. You're exploring for the most part, so all it does is make exploring more efficient. And waffle bopping these little bosses that we're fighting to farm stuff. So she's not quite as bad as Neuvillette, I don't think, because Neuvillette trivializes literally everything. He may not do world content quite as good, but for all the content that you actually need somebody to hit stuff really hard to get the good high scores, he's real good at that. And there's nobody that could possibly eclipse him because he can already do it by himself. He doesn't need any help. Navia at least still needs somebody to generate ammo for her, and some type of elemental applicator to get her the debuff, put any element stuck on the enemy, and the ammo generator to whack them to give her the bullets she needs. But
Bruh, just wait for it to rain.
Yeah, that I suppose you could chain wait for rain if you really wanted to. But yeah, even if she doesn't have all that, if you just build crit and you actually can get crit drops, like, you're not me, you can get them to drop crit rate drops. You can just run up and just delete monsters from a pack. Any little monster is just going to get deleted with no bullets. You only need bullets for things that have more health than a small hilichurl.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an issue for them going forward. I think that it's going to be I think Alachina is going to be very telling because they've hyped her a lot. Her kit is a little bit inscrutable at a glance as to how it's going to execute in practice, but if her numbers are like, a hype level again above Navia and Neuvillette, and from my reading of the kit, she basically has infinity healing.
Yeah,
she's going to heal such a colossal amount of health that it's going to be essentially impossible to kill her outside of a one shot.
Yeah, it'll depend on how that lifelink mechanic works and how much it can be trivialized with proper gearing. It's I have not looked at her kit too deeply, only at the surface level stuff for it. But yeah, she's a super hyped up character. Major part of the Fontaine story, just like Neuvillette and Navia were, and they seem to be big on dropping the power creepers at the moment. So we'll see. The Cloud Retainer seems to be the sole exception of trying to enable the plunging damage meta that, as much as people tried to hype it up, seems to have died overnight. Nobody is doing the plunging attack meta.
Well, I mean, it was a novelty, but it would have been basically some prominent creators would have jumped on the bandwagon of doing videos. Look at the character X doing Y amount of damage, and then everybody would have thought, "Oh, this is the new meta," and so they're all doing it for a week, and then that's it. When the content creators have to move on to something else to make their content, nobody's interested anymore.
Yeah, Genshin content creators I followed significantly less than I have other content creators in the past. Why did that chest just randomly appear? Did a hilichurl unalive itself or something?
I think I tagged a Sele when I was flying around.
Yeah, it's that's where it dropped the chest. Come get your fat loots from your Sele. Your fat common chest. So yeah, I'm not I'm not as bothered with Genshin as until they put in some kind of content that actually requires high numbers, which is risky to do for them, and I don't know if they will. Um, it's you can already hit gear breaking points on most of the cast that'll let you buzz through the overworld if you get lucky enough. Not and your Ningguang might be a little harder to hit those thresholds. You might have to get some god tier rolls because your attack stats so low. But or your base attack stats so low. But for the most part, I view Genshin as an exploration game for the most part, and I get most of my enjoyment from running around the world and exploring it. The farming for in-game mats and stuff is whatever, and I'm fine playing Navia with it just to pop the world a bit easier because I just want to explore and see what's out there
Well,
and go
I
get
mean
stuff and
that's my
solve
logic
puzzles.
though, right? Like I build the character up so that I can freely explore the world without getting one shot by things all the time. But like I don't know like what I would do. I wondered for a bit whether I should just roll for Nouvellette simply so that I have a go-to character for whom nothing is a challenge. So that when I run up against something that's a huge pain in the butt, I can just womp it and move on with my life.
It's
Like if I had done the same, if I had been in the position to do the same on Honkai Star Rail, I wouldn't be in the sort of sticky wicket that I currently am. But yeah, it is what it is. The unfortunate thing is that they have chosen a particular model to make their money off of, and it remains to be seen whether or not they fully grasp what is necessary in order to perpetuate that. And you know, I understand that there's a lot of challenge there. Like you have to keep things interesting and keep coming out with new characters while not rendering people's favorites completely irrelevant. Like you have to keep a sort of a healthy attraction gap there so that people don't just look at a new character and like, yeah, but why should I care? I've got this character that I've invested tons in and they're really good.
Yeah, that's the other thing
So
in these games. They can release all the characters they want. For anybody that isn't a hardcore player, leveling up multiple characters whenever it is not new zone release time is going to be real tough, especially if they're caught up on the zones. Because you don't get many EXP books, or Mora for that matter, if you don't have anything to explore.
yeah, it's a real issue, and I don't know if they've got a solution to it, but they're like other than Honkai Third, they don't have really an operating long runner in the global scene at the moment. And like I've already said about Honkai Third, that it seems to be sort of like in an end state of like perpetual, ever upward spiraling power creep. And that's just how that they've decided to operate it, probably because they set the pace early on and changing their mind now is just not going to work. But whether or not they adopt the same posture for Genshin and Honkai Star Rail, it remains to be seen. So I haven't really got any plans on pulling any particular new characters in Genshin as a result, though. Like, I don't particularly want to pull Neuvillette because, you know, Icky Boy for one thing. But I don't really just want to have this one character that is like, you know, generic solution to every problem. Doesn't need any help, doesn't need any team. There's not really any point in thinking about good Nouvellette team comps, is there?
No,
Because
anything will work with him.
switching an extra button press to switch character probably could have been replaced by a different button press that would do more damage on Nouvellette outside of like really well tricked out teams.
Yeah, you can. It's much of a
I mean,
muchness with Nouvellette. Maybe you could put Yaimiko on the team to maybe spread the zappies around while you're shooting your lasers.
but like, why bother with that when you can put all of your time into farming the perfect artifact set for Nouvellette?
Yeah, I don't know. It's he's such a redonkulous game buster because he operates by himself. That's the big issue I have with Nouvellette is that he operates by himself, and why I think he represents the power creep the worst of all the characters. Because Navi is really powerful. I don't think anybody would question that if after you've ranked up her umbrella shot and seen her numbers. But she still has to build the ammo for it and needs another character to do that efficiently, and another character to apply the elemental debuff, or wait till it's raining, I guess, if it's outside. But Nouvellette just operates entirely on his own, completely independently of everybody. He needs no help from any other characters. There is very little setup required aside from setting up his source drops, which does not appear to be that difficult from what I've read of his kit. Oh, mistakes were made. I'm doing my ult. Oh. Did it target me, target you, and then target me again?
No, I just ran in your rough direction because I was already heading that direction. I couldn't turn around.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say the crocodiles are very confused today. But yeah, I feel I've gone all in on leveling up my Navia because she is currently in the S tier of the game, and even with power creep, will definitely be a functional pick for progressing the rest of the game, and I like playing her. So I've just kind of gone all in with her just to have a character ready to go for world exploration content, which is what I really care about, and one that's reasonably strong in this style of boss co-op content, especially because you play a Geo character that can feed me ammo. But one more. That was a pitiful crit for a 6 ammo shot where all of them hit. Come on, Navia. You're letting me down when I'm talking you up, girlfriend. You getting lazy because I'm praising you? That was a 6 ammo crit that hit for 90k.
I've never seen a number like 90k before.
It's like 120 for a level 10 6 ammo crit is about where it should be. But man, Navi, you're letting me down. So
Yeah. So as far as Genshin goes, like my next pull planned is to basically just wait for a Zhongli banner unless they release something that really takes my fancy before then.
yeah,
And largely because my big problem is fragility. Because I have a weaker character and it's still a catalyst using driver with no defense, I need to find a way to survive long enough to win each battle, and Zhongli is the way to solve that problem, basically. Especially considering I don't like dealing with the Barbara problem, which is freezing all the time.
you don't like the
Or
random ice hilichurl archer that just pops you and freezes you and lets you get clobbered.
yeah, I don't particularly want to spend my time playing the Shiva game where you try and strike the most amusing pose before the diamond dust attack.
Yeah, that
That's
that that do be
not
how
where I want
Barbara
to be.
work. Yeah, Zhongli
But I
would
mean,
be handy.
Barbara's another one of those sort of like evergreen 4 stars. Like if what you want is healing and you don't mind the freezing part, Barbara's your girl. Like when it comes to just brute force healing, she's
Bar-
probably better than any other character in the game.
Barbara fix it.
Other than maybe Kokomi, because Kokomi's got that special crit condition.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
just
yeah,
there's a reason we yell at Barbara to fix it, and she is very
yeah.
good at
So
that.
I haven't made any real progress on Genshin since I cleared the Inazuma story. It's a bit of a momentum killer, really, and it's doubly affected by the fact that the first thing that happens is he gets into a hole in the ground immediately afterwards. Just not that enthused.
Yeah, I'm sure if you were playing alongside the releases, the whole coming out to hold you over as a zone that's 90% exploration with minimal story was a nice tide over, kind of like the Chinyu Vale we got right now. It actually has even less story than the Chinyu Vale we got right now. But
At least Jinyu Vale has a town, like a real city.
yeah, the chasm's a hole,
There's literally a hole in it.
and it doesn't stop going down.
Do they ever say how it got there? Like, is that where like did like Zhongli drop a giant meteor on it or something?
You will find all that out in one of the between chapter interlude quests.
Right. Okay. Because I'm pretty sure I don't think I've seen any Earth movers in Leeway big enough to create an open cast mine that size.
Yeah, you'll get bits of what's the deal with this hole for the main story of the hole, and then in one of the between region, I forget if it's between Inazuma and Sumeru or Sumeru and Fontaine. You go back to the hole with lawyer girl from Liyue.
Yanfei.
Yeah, you go back with her, and Ito shows up because you need somebody here to be the comic relief. Him and Uchi, and shenanigans in the hole happen, and you find out all about the hole.
Right. I have to say, like, the biggest temptation for rolling the Nouvellette banner for me actually was that Yanfei was on it because I really liked her character. I think she's really fun. But Primogem's the thin on the ground, I'm afraid. I mean, I know I've got more left in the potential pool than you do because I haven't done so much of the content, but you know, it still takes time to ferret those all out. So, yeah.
Look at all the primos around me and all these little lit up spots. Did you go back to the hole of the Croc's back?
Yes, I think so. But yeah, and the reason why I'm not making much progress is largely because my main game is still Star Rail. So 2.1 hit, second chapter of Penacony, along with a whole pile of other stuff, such as Acheron's release and a big mountain of tickets and a big mountain of Stellar Jade and Genshin Could Never. Definitely Genshin Could Never. I rolled for Acheron and got Jeopard. I rolled more for Acheron and got Acheron.
Oh.
The tank is empty. The tank is very empty now, but I got Acheron. Now, Acheron, I got Acheron on a gamble that they will take care of Acheron because she's a IP-specific character of great importance to the Honkai setting. I think that Acheron is actually in Honkai 3rd. I think she's still sort of like an ongoing character of significance. She hasn't like taken her last bow from the plot like a lot of other characters have.
Ow.
Um.
Ow.
Oh, you jumped down the whole first thing, did you? Oh shit! I don't have enough stamina to pull out the glider. Oh yes, I've got just a sliver of red. Just a sliver of red. I can do it. I can do it.
Hang on, Barbara's busy betraying me. There we go.
Blimey.
That's a better crit. Avia, do that again. I'll take that one. It was only 4 bullets. Yeah, you see what I mean? Even if you're outside the hole, for some reason our lag is making it so we can't see each other run in. Ah.
I mean, you were there and then you weren't. Oh, Jade screen, what would I ever do without you? Well, that probably.
There we go. That's about
But,
right.
so yeah, I pulled Acheron on the gamble that they will take care of her and she will continue to be relevant. Here's a gamble. Um, that said, while I haven't built her all the way up yet, because resources are resources. Oh, I'm halfway to having enough fins. I have built her sort of like part way up. Like I've got her at max level. I've put the sort of like the first semi decent primary stat relics that I could get my hands on her and leveled those up. So she's in sort of like operable state at present. And she's already an absolute monster. The thing is, I don't really have a good context for her yet. I've got sort of like the pieces lying around to build her a good team. Just not quite the pieces are just not quite groomed to the level where they're usable. Like I sort of like mostly leveled up Gwen I've got mostly leveled up Pella. I have to decide what I'm going to do for sustain, but since I just pulled a Jeopard, I have more options now because he's still good. He's not great, but he's good. And Sheretha swears by him for golden gears, it sounds like. But yeah, it's as sort of like a unit in a vacuum, she's pretty monstrously powerful. Much like Navia, she needs people to prop her up to allow her to comfortably position herself to unleash that power. Like a lot, like fully, like something like 60% of her ult's power is derived from having 2 Nihility teammates with her. And of course, if you can't just jam in any 2 Nihilities, you want ones that actually support her, not ones that operate in isolation. Like there have apparently been a lot of people who are trying to run her alongside Kafka, which is completely pointless since the two don't synergize at all in any respect. So yeah, it's become a bit of a meme actually. But yeah, so Acheron's a work in progress. They deployed this rather silly board game, which, despite myself, I've been enjoying because everything about it is silly. And they are really leaning into the whole Trailblazer is a goober thing because basically every option that you have there is dopey.
I've
And
seen
this
a
has
few
also
of
been
them. Yes.
this has also been reflected in the story. Like at this point, it's sort of like 2 out of 3 talk options you have in non-dramatic, like moments that aren't supposed to be a dramatic climax. Like usually 2 or 3 out of the options are going to be silly, and if it is a sort of like a really tense dramatic moment, one of them will still be extremely silly. And you tend to get like how Paimon tends to chime in with inappropriate things to say at inappropriate times on the regular.
Yeah.
In Star Rail, you're Paimon, and usually March 7th gives you the Paimon look when you say something like that.
She gives you the Paimon.
Yeah, that's the sort of flat. I can't believe you just said that stare. You get that from March 7th quite a number of times in the story. If you say things that are particularly Paimon.
Paimon is now a
But
verb. To
but
Paimon.
but yeah, story wise, chapter 2 of Penacony is extremely talk heavy. Like you feel like most of Penacony chapter 1 is get used to walking on the ceiling because you're going to be doing it a lot. Most of Penacony chapter 2 is people talking about stuff a lot. It feels like you're playing a visual novel a lot of the time, and that's not really out of place in a JRPG. Like it's more or less the expected way of conducting oneself to a certain extent. So I think it would be strange for somebody to be particularly upset about that. But there is a lot of it. There are a couple of times where I would get home from work and be like, I'll just do a little bit of the plot to see what is going to happen next. And they really should have inserted some of those Final Fantasy 14 screens. You know, the ones where they say, set aside some time for this because it's going to take a while.
Yeah, chapter 2 of Sumeru. I really like chapter 2 of Sumeru. I think it's my favorite chapter in Sumeru. But they need that disclaimer for it as well, where they are just going to yak at you for a long time. Was it your turn to be oppressed? Okay, turn the cannons on. Oh crap! I forgot to make him wet first. Six bullets, 39k non-crit. Navia, don't get to be lazy just because I talked you up.
She disagrees.
There we go. Give me that 139k. Go from the lowest roll to the highest high roll. Oh, I didn't want to push that button. Oh well. Wait, that was a crit? That was a 40k crit, Navia. I don't care that you did 128 right after. That was a 40k crit. What is wrong with your crit variance today, girlfriend? My numbers are literally all over the place.
I got knocked into the water and frozen. Oh my goodness, fish fins. Oh my goodness, please. Save me from this hell.
I'm helping you kill Crocs as fast as we can kill Crocs. Tell Navia
I
to
swear
crit
I'm not
more.
coming down. I'm not coming down here anymore after we get enough fins. Unless I get another character that needs fins, I guess. But
I think there's only like one or two more that need them, and I don't think you're going to pull for them.
So the vast bulk, and well, I don't know if it's really the case, but it certainly feels like it's the case. The vast bulk of the part of the story of Penacony Chapter 2 that I've seen so far has been exploring adventuring. Not really in any particular way. It's more sort of like just like, who is this person? Like, why is he the way he is? Is he actually what he seems or not? And the answer seems to be more or less yes. Mostly yes. Maybe not 100% yes, but mostly yes. But yeah, so there's a lot of exploration of who he is, his past, his motivations, that type of thing. And judging by the fact that one of the larger Trailblaze continuances is about Topaz, I expect that they are probably setting up the IPC 10 Stonehearts to be sort of like a major faction, a major sub faction that are going to be dictating the flow of events quite a bit going forward. The same way, sort of like Topaz basically puts the end cap on Bellabog, and Aventurine is sort of like the major player in Penacony. Although there are plenty of players, like the Penacony is sort of like got a lot of people following a lot of different agendas for a lot of different reasons throughout. But a lot of them are more or less stayed off to the side. Like Acheron is present, but she has not really done a lot. Like when asked about her motivations, she just says something kind of vague. And Sparkle is basically everything she has done so far has just been for the lulz, and mostly she hasn't done anything particularly important. In fact, most of what you see of Sparkle is actually in Black Swan's character story. And Black Swan's character story is not really. It doesn't really take place in continuity. It's basically a side trip that Sparkle forces Black Swan on just to see what she'll do. Pretty much.
As you do.
But It's the story has focused for the second chapter a lot on adventuring, not so much on the other characters, although they still get a lot of play. A certain amount has been focused on introducing Gallagher as well, although there's less motivation to introduce Gallagher since he's a 4-star. People aren't going to be, well, most people aren't going to be spending a lot of quartz on him specifically, although, you know, there are people who are that way inclined, who are very into the scruffy husbando thing. But yeah, he's the story. I've enjoyed it right up to where I got to. The problem is I'm stuck now. I'm stuck because I'm stuck on a boss, and the boss, for thematic reasons, is heavily dependent on luck-based mechanics, and I do not have luck. So as soon as it comes down to dice rolls, I get teabagged. It's like, what's that? You're incapable of rolling more than a 4 on 3d6 4 turns in a row. I'm just gonna erase your team entirely. Like if you've got a modicum of sort of like middle of the bell curve luck, it shouldn't be much of a problem. I don't. I just get my team deleted as soon as luck becomes the issue. So basically, I'm now stuck in this position where I'm trying to devise a method of making the most vulnerable characters completely rock hard. So even when everything goes completely pear-shaped, they'll at least survive long enough for it to wear off. The problem is that in the second phase, the boss does a lot of crap back to back that you can't really do anything to stop. If you get in a flow where things are headed in a bad way, pulling out of the tailspin is incredibly difficult. So I'm currently thinking about how to deal with that. The most obvious solution is to build up a tricked out Acheron team and just like wreck him so fast that he doesn't have a chance to build up the sort of steam which is causing me to fall apart. My primary team is dot based, and it is not a fight that brooks a lot of spending time engaged with the opponent. The boss has a lot of hit points, but you kind of want to shred them as fast as possible, because the more time you spend fighting fear, the worse things will go. Like, I don't have enough sustain to just weather the storm indefinitely. Maybe if you have, like, Lorcha, you can just ignore that. But yeah, I'm on the highest equilibrium level at this point, so it's not like the expectations have not been set quite high for me. So yeah, like the game expects me to have mostly maxed out my traces and my relics at this point. What?
Oh, they only shot a few at me that time before they decided to go oppress you.
I don't know what's causing them to do that. It must be gaining aggro somehow.
That or when a second target appears slightly after the first one, their targeting just gets all kind of wacky. On big crits, I've been murdering this purple crocodile. And one more big crit and kill the purple crocodile. Almost. Alright, that was the fastest purple croc kill we've had in a while. You did pretty good on the blue one, too.
I think he got a little bit confused when he does his sliding around thing, and then he got stuck on the jade screen, and he just kept trying to slide into it for a while.
I see.
And like, yeah, okay, if you just want to chill over there, then I'm also cool with that.
That was our fastest bop of the crocodiles we've had yet, I think.
People chunk. Yeah, so I'm still very much enjoying Star Rail. I'm a bit annoyed that my sore spot of bad luck is now absolute center of a game mechanic that is preventing me from seeing the next part of the story. Though goodness knows I spent enough time doing the story that this must be nearly the end of this patch content in terms of pure storyline, I would say. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to get through this particular thing because you can't outgrind luck. Like the way that traditionally you've been supposed to deal with situations like in JRPGs, like where the boss crits one of your characters out of existence. Well, in most JRPGs you can simply grind more levels, but that's not really the case in Hoyoverse games. Like you hit the level cap and the world hits the level cap and you're both at the level cap and now there's not much you can do.
Honkai is
Like
going
I
to be
think that
even worse, I think, because you don't have action game mechanics to compensate for anything. So
like
you've just got to beat it in
I'm
raw numbers.
I'm multiple patches behind these two crocodiles in terms of character technology, but I was still able to kill them. It just took me a long time because I just spent all my time running around. You can't avoid damage like that in Star Rail. Like your mechanics are pretty much set at what they're supposed to be. And sure, you can grind for perfect relics, but that's
No, you
just as
pushed
luck
me off the
based.
shroom.
It's just as luck based to get relics. So I mean, relics have a certain amount of additional flexibility and so on and so. But yeah, basically, I think that perhaps it's just that my team is really unsuitable. The previous patches major bosses, well, at least one of them, the first of the two, uh, strongly favors dot teams. It seemed to me like dots were a really efficient way of dealing with its primary mechanic once you figure out how to actually manage the poor thing. Um,
I wonder if this screws with your camera when I do it.
but the boss of the current patch seems to just be like, well, basically what happens is it wears me down. Eventually, I'll lose so many rolls, my healer will fall over dead, and then it's just like a matter of time. Then, and I'll usually by the time the healer dies, I'm usually at about 50% of the way through the boss's final bar, and I'll usually get him down to about 20% with no healer before everything falls apart. Unfortunately, my primary carry for damage is Black Swan, and this boss is also resistant to wind damage. Not completely resistant, like they don't really do immune characters in Star Rail that I've seen. Doesn't seem to be a thing. But most enemies have they'll have an element that they're really resistant to, and one or two elements that they are less resistant to. Well, usually they've got about 3 or 4 resistant elements, and there'll usually be like 1 to 2 of them will be heavily resistant, and one will be lesser resistant. And Wind is a lesser resistant one, so I can still use Black Swan to some extent, but her damage is pretty curtailed. The boss is weak against lightning, which means Kafka is an option, but they pretty clearly want you to use Acheron because it's Acheron's patch, you know. Acheron in a well-supported team would probably make mincemeat of this guy. I can see that happening. Um, I'm not really sure how this boss's charge mechanic will interact with Acheron's unique ultimate charge thing because it's debuff based. So possibly you would get screwed in that respect because your push and pull of your ultimate energy bar is quite important to the fight as well. But yeah, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do and see in the patch at present. I haven't unlocked the feature where you have to make drinks in the bar. I think that's unlocked by completing the primary storyline. And there's also a new character storyline introduced for Aventurine where you can probably learn more about him. Um, the other thing that they do that is unique to this particular game is that, or it's certainly unique within this patch, is you spend a lot of time controlling other characters. When Trailblazer is not present, the story goes on, and they will give you the option to basically change POV character. So you spend some time, quite a bit of time, in fact, with at the Aventurine POV, what he's going through, what he's up to, what scams he's running, etc., etc. And you spend some time also as Acheron helping Welt with his investigations and stuff like that. And you can sort of freely switch back and forth between Trailblazer and whoever is the other character in the plot who is being the point of view character at that point, which gives you a sort of a way of carrying more of the story on in an interactive way in the absence of the main character. And it's got some interesting side effects as well, like for instance, when you're playing as a Venturine, he can't see the origami birds in Penacony, and he can't see Clocky. He can't. There's a lot of things he can't see in here that Trailblazer can, because Trailblazer's apparently they established at the very start of Penacony, the Trailblazer has like a sort of a hypersensitivity to Memoria, which is sort of what Penacony's Land of Dreams is built on, which initially causes you to get sort of like dream sick, but in the end seems to be turning out to be an advantage. But
Let you see
yeah,
the
so
cartoon characters.
It does let you see the cartoon characters. Which brings me to something that I had omitted from bothering to fiddle around with in Penacony Chapter 1, because I was still catching up with Bellawog and the Lofu. But the Clocky statue. I don't know what it is about MiHoYo and statues.
Or trees.
But yeah, in some cases it is trees, yes. But you've got to give cash to a statue of Clocky, and this gives you rewards as you rank up the statue. It's like, really? I mean, maybe they're like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But it's not really quite so. It's neither as interesting nor as frustrating as the tree and the statues, because there's no exploration, so there's no exploration to enjoy as far as finding things for handing in goes. Instead, you just earn it from everything that you do, basically, on the planet in question, and you turn it in to get your rewards. Fortunately, there's a lot of EXP books, and unlike Genshin Impact, they don't spend a lot of time farting about with blue EXP. Like, you graduate to purple pretty quickly, and then all of the rewards will be purple. And you need it. Because you cannot, because of the aforementioned JRPG mechanics, you cannot bend an inappropriate team very far. While they don't have like the resistance mechanics to the immunity level the way they do in Genshin, but you can just get put in a position where your team is a bad fit, and you end up basically your health bar serves as a functional timing out of the fight, because you can't kill something before you run out of hit points. I mean, if you go heavy sustain, I guess you could solve that problem to some extent, but heavy sustain teams are no fun, because you can't do any damage, and oftentimes, if your healing has to be high enough, you'll screw your skill points economy anyway.
Hang on, the wind just blew open the door to my basement, so keep talking while I go close that door.
Oh man, it's difficult. I've got a cold incoming, so my nose is gradually clogging up as I speak. I don't know who gave me this disease, but I'm very unhappy with them for doing so. People keep getting sick at work, giving it to me, and then I get sick. And this seems to happen every time there's a public holiday, just to make sure that I get no enjoyment whatsoever out of anything in life. So yeah, I am currently figuring out that one. The only built sustain that I've got that can replace lost health at the moment is Natasha, and Natasha is probably the worst sustain in the game. Probably. Because she's a 4-star whose only ability is to restore hit points. She doesn't really have any other utility beside that. Which is also Bailu's weakness, but Bailu has better healing output. So...
But Natasha has a teddy bear.
Natasha does have a teddy bear, and this helps to an extent, but she's an extremely poor fit for this boss fight that I'm stuck on, because the boss fight strongly favours AoE, and she has nothing one could describe as AoE. Well, not AoE damage anyway. So yeah, it's quite rough at the moment. There is definitely room for improvement as far as she's concerned. I could afford to level up her traces quite a bit more than they currently are. But leveling traces is probably the most frustrating part of the grind because it's hooked into Echoes of War, which are like they're the equivalent of fighting Storm Terror again type of thing. So you don't really have a lot of way of speeding up the process because you're capped at 3 times a week type of thing, and that's just all you've got to work with. So yeah, I would very much like to improve my circumstances, and I've saved all of my fuel, which is like fragile resin, for the purposes of trying to speed track this sort of rough part, but or these types of rough parts by just grinding out whatever I need to grind out. But Echoes of War are an exception to that. There is no way to speed up that process. You have to wait for the weeks to roll by, the weekly resets to roll by, so you can do more farming. And the other thing is that compared to like Storm Terror is a doddle. I ain't gonna find anybody who thinks Storm Terror is particularly challenging. But by contrast, the bosses, when you redo bosses in Star Rail, it has been my experience that they are significantly harder than the equivalent domain equivalent. Like you need to go in there with a plan, and you need to go in there and execute that plan well, because otherwise you will get fried. I've tried it a few times, largely on the propagation boss down there, and it just wrecks me anytime I turn the difficulty up at all.
You mean
I
Child
just
Phase
can't.
2 doesn't have 125,000 HP and can be one shot with a lucky crit?
No, it cannot. That's really the challenge behind the bosses. But while the damage output goes up and so on, it's more sort of like you can't use damage heavy teams because the fight will drag on so long. If your damage heavy team is like super tricked out, the way you've got some people who can do like 900,000 damage or whatever in a single turn with Jingliu comps and stuff, then you can lump the boss, no problem. But if you aren't one of those people who have autistically tricked out characters and perfect comps, then you're going to run into a more awkward situation where you just burn out before you get to the end of the fight. So you end up being forced to use sustain a lot of the time. A lot of people would say, "Oh, you should just get Sparkle and use Xingxue," and yeah, that's only going to work on some bosses because otherwise you need Silver Wolf, and you're just going to ultimately most ideal teams are always going to rack up a huge count of 5 stars required. That's just the way of things. It's the way these games are built. But yeah, it's
the problem is it's a MiHoYo game though, and I know that Star Rail is more generous with its quartz and tickets, significantly more, but having bosses that require such diverse team comps seems dangerous in Star Rail. Like you're going to run into a problem where people may just not have the comp needed to do this boss forget comfortably at all.
Well, no, the thing is that they all have low skill levels. Like the skill level of the boss does not start at the it's not pegged to the world level for starters, and it's not the lowest level available to you isn't the level that you do it at. So you can pick whatever difficulty of boss you want to do. Like if I want to do Ancient Borehole to get materials for like Black Swan or whatever, it's not difficult for me to just turn down the difficulty to the point where I can do it. The problem is that decreases your efficiency substantially. And because traces account for a large amount of your power and they are pegged directly to boss kills, you really, really, really want to farm them at the highest level if at all possible. But that is quite difficult to do unless you've got really high level sustains. And this is the thing that, like, a lot of people underrate sustains relative to damage. And, it's sort of hard for me to throw stones like this since I've I've rolled on Ranmei, Kafka, Black Swan, and Acheron, which is 1 harmony and 3 damage dealers. Although all those damage dealers are nihility. But that will only get you so far, because that's really good for dealing with situations where you can blow the enemy up. You cannot blow bosses up. Even if you do blow the boss up, the harder phase will simply start. And then you'll be dealing with an even bigger problem. Because now you've got nothing left in the magazine, and they are doing more damage than ever before. So sustains are sort of necessary to do boss farming, but you do boss farming in order to build teams that don't need so much sustain. So you're always, it doesn't feel very much like a gameplay loop. It feels more like a catch-22. Because you can't seem to have a right solution. If your team comp is bad for a particular boss, you can still do that boss, but in order to get out of that hole, you want to develop another team, right? Which is what I'm trying to do with Acheron. The problem is that developing another team depends on your farming ability. And if you require that boss, well, now you've got an issue. That your way out of your problem is peaked to your effectiveness at dealing with the problem that you can't deal with.
Oh, they just really liked you from the get-go that time. Yeah, they didn't care about me at all.
This doesn't seem fair. You are a significantly larger threat than me.
I'm gonna go put shrapnel in the perp boy's butt. That's a really big crit.
Can he stop standing on those crystals, please? I couldn't get him to get off his crystals this time.
Yeah, I saw him sitting there under his butt. Fortunately, I was too far away to vacuum them up to make some use out of them. This is way more efficient with 2 people when you don't have to sit there and run away from everything. If one person can just sit there and put shrapnel in their butt.
You've got an alarming fascination with putting things in people's butts.
Do crocodiles even have butts? Do magic crocodiles have butts? I don't think so.
A magic crocodile probably has a magic cloaca.
Anyway, how about them clocks in Pinnacone?
Yeah. So overall, I've enjoyed it so far. I just don't enjoy having to do a luck-based boss. It is torture. But yeah, I'm trying to basically hash out a solution to the farming problem, and I think ultimately it's going to be a slow solution, because you hit a point where you need a boss kill per trace that you want to improve, and there's no getting around it. And you want to kill the hardest boss that you possibly can, and if you can, then you're going to be able to get enough each week to do like a whole character in a week sort of thing. But getting that to that point sort of requires you to already have characters leveled up, and I'm still like in incomplete first team mode, where I've got the pieces for a decent team, provided that you're willing to tolerate Fire Trailblazer, because I mean, what else do I have? Because I'm not counting Jeopard right now, because although he would be better as like a straight up sustain, he's a case of building from scratch. Like, I would have to start over from the beginning. And so I'm in a situation where, I need to do borehole for Acheron, but I also need to do the boss from whatchamacallit, Bellabog for Pella, and I need to do Ventilia for Winifin, and I need to come up with a solution to my healer problem, where my healer dies immediately in boss fights because the healer's not tough enough. But I spent a good chunk of time this morning, early afternoon, trying to farm up HP gear for my healer to
You mean
make them
attack
a little.
percent gear?
Yeah, everything is attack percent. Funny that, like, you can't get attack gear for love nor money most of the time, but say that you want HP gear and all of a sudden it all comes out of the woodwork. But yeah, everything is a work in progress there at the moment. But I'm still enjoying the game, and there's still a lot of stuff for me to do that I haven't really spent time with yet. Heaps of challenges, big piles of Stellar Jade that I haven't hoovered up yet because it's hiding in various corners, like the whatchamacallit, the ghost hunting storyline on the Lofu. I finished the storyline, but there's like just a pile of little mini challenges to do that are all reasonably doable, but have Stellar Jade rewards attached and that sort of thing. So, or even where there aren't Stellar Jade rewards attached, there's EXP rewards attached, and you can't never have too many EXP books because it's still that kind of game. EXP books had sort of cock blocked me from leveling Pella, and currently that's what will prevent me leveling Jeopard, which is why I'm not counting him for anything because I completely used up all of my XP books already.
I just spend several
So
months farming the EXP node like I have.
I have already spent quite a bit of resources farming EXP. But yeah, I mean that's inevitable. That's going to be the limitation. I don't know what all these whales do to get their characters leveled up. I presume they just use heaps of Stellar Jade refreshes or something.
Yeah,
But
if you're turbo whaling and you need, the only way you can progress those characters if you're already turbo whaling is to get Stella Jade refreshes.
oh well. Anyway, going forward with that, I would like to finish the story if I can, and then start moving on to the other projects around the place. There's, it feels like there's Stellar Jade sort of fountaining out of every orifice in the game at the moment right now because there's heaps of it to be had from new story content plus the new challenges plus I think there's going to be another rotation of pure fiction coming up plus there's the memory thing that I haven't done. It's just been sitting there. It's all Stellar Jade waiting for to be picked up. Basically, I haven't started attempting to do Memory of Chaos because I think you need 2 teams for that, or maybe you don't. Can't remember. You definitely need 2 teams for pure fiction. I haven't touched the new Simulated Universe world. Still haven't really done anything with Swarm Disaster or Golden Gears. Like, there's a massive well of content that I haven't touched. So I'm not likely to run out of things to do anytime soon. I still haven't done the Pokemon thing yet either, other than the little bit that I did at the start with Puffball.
You need
But
Puffball. Puffball's the best.
but yeah, so there's still lots to do. I'm not sick of it by any stretch of the imagination. Did have some sort of like awkward pings for like this year's summer event has started in FGO, and I'm like, yeah, there's a welfare for this. I'm pretty sure, but yeah, I don't really want to go down there. I've got too many gachas on the go right now. If I try and add another one, it'll kill me. Like I've played three simultaneously in the past, and that was bad enough. And I'm currently playing 3, except that Genshin is more or less on the back burner. Other than making sure that I keep hoovering up battle passes to be able to keep my levels going, I'm not really doing much with it right now. The whatchamacallit, Blue Archive is just very low impact, generally speaking.
Yeah, it's not quite Pinecone tier, but it's close.
Yeah, if it loaded as fast as Pinecone does, it would be as low impact as Pinecone, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't consider that to be much of a drain on my resources. And like in this, I mean mental resources and time. But the other ones that I have in the past were much more draining. And in a lot of cases, this is just because they were more intricate. Such things include like Azure Lane. It's just mechanically more complicated. I don't know if it still is. Maybe everything is sort of solved for you at this point because they've got you've got your what the crap? What the crap?
Oh, I did. Maybe I wasn't targetable because I had my. I wanted to say Union Burst. My ult go in as soon as I landed. It was already charged up. So I pushed the button right away. I got Pinecone on the brain. There's a guy in Grand Blue Fantasy who just sits in the lobby named Pinecone versus Win.
This guy's still sitting on that freaking crystal, and I cannot get it. I guess I have to give up on it.
It's
I've
okay.
wasted more DPS time trying to get the crystal than I would have gotten out of picking up the crystal and then fighting him.
It's okay. I high rolled the purple one. Oh, might high roll the blue one this time too. Can we go for the hat trick of the 3 quick kills? That'd be nice. On crit. Good enough.
Yeah, so Gacha is as Gacha does, as usual. I'm quite glad about how, like, on average, I'm quite glad about how my rolls went, even though I had to go past hard pity, past the 90 hard pity. I got lots of stuff that I wanted at the same time. I got another Eidolon for Green Knife, and I got a couple of copies of Gallagher, adding him to the roster. I got Jeopard, who, even if he's not somebody that I was going for, is still very useful to me. I got a bunch of Eidolons for Pella, who I wanted to build, but was a bit anxious that she wouldn't be able to do the job I wanted without another couple of Eidolons, and I got those. So I got a couple of Eidolons for Don Heng, who I don't care about. Like, Don Heng is like, he's the archetypal character who was only decent when he came out and then was immediately power crept by literally everything in sight. Because he was just built to be lackluster, I guess.
And his English voice actor is holy crap terrible.
I would not know because I have no intention of ever finding out.
Like most of them in Star Rail are pretty dang bad. His is really, really bad. His is a whole new level of bad.
But yeah. I also got a bunch in the process. I got a bunch of key light cones as well. I got, for some reason, I got quite a few of there's I can't remember what it's called, but there's a particularly good abundance light cone. That's just generally good, which is good because I didn't have any good abundance light cones at all, so now I do. But yeah, it's a lot of useful stuff came out of the gacha for me this time. It was overall quite a good set of pulls, which is quite unusual for me, but I guess that's why I'm having such bad luck with the boss now, because I spent it all on the gacha. Although it's sort of arguable as to whether it counts as good luck if you go past hard pity.
I
But
wonder if the Dory disaster would give me like an Acheron on a single 10 pull.
maybe, I mean, I wouldn't bet on it, but it could happen. You pulled a lot of Dories, and that's pretty bad luck.
Not a single other 4-star on the
It's not
radar.
even. It's not even. It's not even just that. It's that Dory is so bad, like relatively speaking.
Like, I was
Like,
hoping to get
it'd
at
be one
least one
thing.
Goro.
It'd be one thing if you pulled like only Goros, though, right?
Yeah, I could
Because you'd
find
be
I could do something
if it
with
was
Goro if I really wanted to.
like, I would be perfectly happy to pull a pile of Yunjins and a pile of Goros. Like, I'm very tempted to pull on this banner. If I was whaling, I would probably pull on the banner. If this was my main game, I would probably pull on the banner. But yeah, you kind of scared me.
The Dory disaster.
But like, of all the characters on that banner, you pulled the one that is just completely pants.
Yep. Because
I mean,
that
Yunjin's not really useful to your build, so I guess that she would be a dead pull for you as well. She doesn't really serve any purpose, since she can't help you get ammunition, and she is basically an auto attack enabler, which only is really helpful for characters who put a large amount of their damage in the auto attacks, like Ningguang does. But at least she can buff.
she would at least
Just
have some synergy.
yeah.
Like Dory,
Dory, on the other hand, I tried playing Dory in the demonstration mode thing, and I
she's
could not work out what you're actually supposed to do with her.
she's down there at meme tier.
With is she Aloy meme tier?
She's like barely a step above Aloy on the meme tier. Yeah, because that happened, because Star Rail is not anywhere close to a game I'm actively playing right now in terms of the time put in, because I'm just blowing my resin on EXP, and for some reason these games seem to want to funnel us in the same type of team builds. Hoyo games. I guarantee you, if I just threw whatever I get from the anniversary of the Acheron banner, I'd get one just to make sure our teams stay together. I,
I
I just
mean,
I
I wouldn't
just
put it past it. It just seems to happen. I mean, you pulled Kafka as well.
Yep. The Hoyoverse games seem bound to determine to keep us on the same, on at least similar tracks.
Anyway, that was supposed to be my week, but I rambled on at great length. But I guess it's something they are games that we are both playing at the moment. And what's more, they are representative of a certain business strategy that is definitely in the wild right now.
Yeah. Oops. That's not Inkoyama. That's Fontaine.
I mean, Xenozone Zero is not out yet. I
Wuthering
think
Heights
what
comes
his
in a month,
Wuthering Waves should be out soon.
month or
I
two.
don't know.
Yeah.
Wuthering isn't Wuthering Heights a book? Um,
Yeah. Wuthering Heights is a book.
yeah, but Wuthering Waves is coming out shortly, and that's sort of like a lot of people are touting it as a Genshin killer, but that's not really a sensible thing to say since number one, gacha games don't have that type of killer relationship to each other because it's about sunk cost fallacy, right? That's what makes what makes gachas work. Is they turn sunk cost fallacy into actual sunk cost so that you can't afford to leave ever.
I'm in the crocodile hole. I somehow landed on the side of this thing while I was waiting on you to come down.
But yeah, it's I mean, it looks like a pretty decent game. What happened?
I changed their mind halfway through again.
Oh, there goes all of my energy.
I did
Thank you,
not bully
complete asshole.
that perp that hard that time. The perp. I don't think I've got a single crit. Oh no! You got all your crystallizes right when mine got generated before I could suck mine up. So yeah. You got anything else in your week other than Hoyoverse gotchas?
Not really, not really. Um, I don't really have anything lined up either. Like, there's no new games that I'm planning to start or anything like that. I'm pretty much stuck in the Hoyoverse hole right now, and it's where I'm likely to stay for the time being.
Yeah, I really kind of felt that this week when I was just kind of going through my game list now that I finished Relink, trying to find a game to slot in that slot. It's like, well, there ain't really one. I guess I can go back to playing Genshin.
Yeah, I don't clear content in as thorough a way as you do, so there's pretty much always still something for me to go back and tinker around with. There's always a pile of stuff that's left incomplete.
Yeah, I will monomaniacally throw my available video game free time at one task and just keep on going, like the Energizer Bunny.
But,
So, all
yeah,
right.
I don't have anything else.
I guess I forgot to cue music up again, so you're just gonna be looking at screen for a bit, but we could go to a break or we can go right into my week. You need a break?
I need a break. My bladder needs a break anyway.
All right. Break screen. We'll be back in just a moment. And we're back. And hopefully the stream stops being mad at me because it did not like me muting the audio that way. So another reason to make sure I queue up the music and actually get that problem properly resolved in future.
All right, so on to your week, I guess.
There ain't much to it. Work wasn't. It blew up on Tuesday and Wednesday particularly bad. Monday was not as bad as I thought it would be. It was still workable. And Thursday and Friday were much quieter, which means the coming Monday and Tuesday is going to be a nightmare. But this meant I got home and I had some time to vidya, but I was kind of stuck. And that I didn't really have a game to fill where Relink was filling before, and there's stuff I can explore in Genshin, but I kind of don't want Genshin to completely run out, so I'm hesitant to empty it out right away.
So that if you have a Genshin mood, you'll have something to do when you go back.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to completely empty it out right now. Oh, please press him. But yeah, so I've been looking for something else to fit in that slot where I had Relink for a while. And going through my list, I'm just not really feeling anything. Like, yeah, I got a big old game library there, but I'm stuck in that weird mood where you have all the games but don't know what to play. So what I settled on was just to do what I said I was thinking about doing last week and stick some time in and just beat Ibu up over and over again as Charlotta and use him as my training dummy so that I could actually learn how to play that character right in Grand Blue versus. And I really enjoyed my time doing that for what it's worth. It's still a fighting game, so it's not exactly it's a high focus activity where I have to pay attention. It doesn't fill the slot of relink at all. It just fills the video game slot. That was a big crit. But I've enjoyed sitting down and really learning Charlotta because Charlotta just has so many things she can do, and she feels so comfortable for me to control now. Like she's got the various. I call her Dash her buzzsaw because she spins around like a buzzsaw, and you can catch people. Learning to catch people with the right level of buzzsaw, or doing the right level of buzzsaw to stop yourself just short, so you can bait out a invincible reversal to get it on cooldown for the opponent and just block it and punish them afterwards. Or the various approaches you can do in the air. You can do a standard jump with any of your air normals like all the characters, or you can do a command jump, which you can do a dive kick. I call it Helm Breaker because it's Helm Breaker from Devil May Cry. Even the announcers at the Arc System Works tournaments call it Helm Breaker, even though that's not its name. Where you just drop straight
Yeah.
down with the sword.
I mean, it's no Mantis stick.
No, but you got that, and then or you can do a command grab out of it, and it can grab people in the air. So you can really mix up your approaches with her, and she's just a lot of fun to try and set up your opponents to get conditioned to reacting a certain way, and then change it up halfway through the match. And they'll be very confused, and then when they start reacting to whatever new approach you got, you switch it either back to what you were doing before, or you switch it up again, and do one of the other options because you just have so many. And her combo game is really fun, and she's even though her crown is a hitbox, there's a title for her called "The Crown is a Handicap." That she's still smaller than the other characters, and a bunch of stuff in her command leaps, especially the EX yellow version that glows when you use it. Not the one where you have to spin meter on it, but the one where you just take the longer cooldown. It makes her hitbox smaller and can let you do a whole lot of really silly things that throw the opponent off completely out of whack. Oh, and with the command hop, if you just don't hit anything, you'll just land and do a sweep that auto corrects if you hop over your opponent. So you have all kinds of fun approaches you can do with her, and she's really fast because she's really tiny. The only problem is she has no fireball. She, in fact, has very little answer to people that just try and zone you out. But this is Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, and zoners are terrible, so nobody plays them. So Charlotta is quite strong. But she came in third, but it was because of at the recent Big Arc System Works tournament for Grand Blue overall. But it was because there was one Charlotta hero that was playing her amongst all the Siegfrieds and Niers and Lancelots, and he just was gonna.
Realistically, with the amount of health that Nia's puppet has, isn't she functionally also a zoner?
For Nier, the thing that doesn't make her a zoner is her most busted tool is her puppet plus dashing light, and that her puppet keeps her safe while she's just running up to you and going to smack you in the face with her dashing light attack, and she'll just do it over and over and over again. And then
So she can't just stand behind the puppet and let it do things for her.
no, the problem with the puppet is the puppet protects her with its active frames, and unless you know exactly how to counter it, usually through spending your burst meter or your burst points, which you only get 3 of per round, defensively, which means you don't have them offensively, and if you spend all of them, you take 50% more damage. You don't have a good answer to a lot of what Nier does with that stupid puppet, and it's why she's currently easily the most busted character in the game, and it's no contest.
Because when I hear puppet character, I think lowly tuna fish and vessel.
Yeah, we're not talking Carl here. Carl would be, and his infinite combos would be more tolerable than Nier, because at least they would have to execute an endless loop, and that would just be a thing you could play around. Nier, you just have to be perfect with frame perfect breaks every single time she goes on offense. You can never let it be Nier's turn. If it's Nier's turn in the match, you're in trouble. And
And
you have
lowly tuna fishing vessel is a better gag.
yes. So I rewatched that gag reel this week, and still laugh at the valley or the sea. Pick one. So yeah, so sad Central Fiction didn't get a dub. The dub for that series was really good.
Yeah, I mean, it did have its issues, but some of them were like, I feel like it's a series that trades pretty well on sort of chewing the scenery. Like, brother!
Yeah, and it was also a passion project. Like the series was just adored by Ragna's voice actor. I'm brain farting on his name, but he loved it so much he took over ADR for the second game onwards until Central Fiction where they didn't do the dub, and he was really upset they didn't tell him there was going to be no dub, and they just decide to not dub Central Fiction. But yeah, he really did like that series, so he put a whole lot of work into making sure it sounded good, and the dub was done really well.
Yeah, it's one of very few Japanese games where I straight up enjoy the English dub at least as much as the Japanese one. Like, normally I'm very biased against English dubs, but I think that the Blaze Blue one, it doesn't have the same tone as the Japanese one. However, it serves the same purpose in some way. Like, it executes the same types of things except using English techniques. Like, if you have English voice actors that try and just ape the delivery of the Japanese voice actors, they'll do an incredibly crappy job of it, and it won't work in English. But also, if you try and do it in the English way, if you don't know what you're doing, you're just going to make a hash of that too. So it's quite in my opinion, it's very fine line to walk to make a decent English dub. And my opinion is that most of the time, it's a miss. It's a total whiff.
Yeah, it's really hard to get one that hits all the characters on at least a passable level, like Blaze Blue did. Like and Ragna, Jin, uh, Rachel. There's just tons of standouts that are really good through the whole thing. New, good old new.
Like, Rachel is literally the exact same voice, not just the voice actress, but the voice actress doing the same voice as Stay Night Tosaka.
Yeah,
And it works for Rachel because she's got a decent director.
yeah. They tell her to put more inflection on certain words and to accent certain words a certain way to fit more of the tone Rachel has. It's very slightly different. You can tell it's Stay Night Tosaka Rin, but it's uh it's very clearly just directed better. The girl does not have very much range, but they just directed her way better in all the games to make Rachel work. And she's normally one of the voice actresses I absolutely hate to hear in games.
But she does Rachel perfectly, though. And I think that it is very much down to somebody cared enough about making the character just right to coach that actress to get that voice just right.
Yeah. And apparently, I didn't know this until I was doing some research on it this week. That was Ragnar's voice actor, where he just loved the series after the first game. Where he walked in when the to do recording for the very first game, and they handed him the script, and he's like, "I thought this was a fighting game." They just handed this 3-ring binder that's several hundred pages long.
Yeah, I one of my biggest gaming regrets was not spending more time with Blaze Blue, because a lot of it was simply because even the single player mode of Blaze Blue is brutally hard for a non-fighting game player like me. Like, just brutally difficult. You'll do unlimited Rachel, and then a couple stages later, unlimited Ragnar, and like, these are just horribly difficult challenges for somebody like me.
I'm here to tell
And
you,
so
Unlimited Hazama kicked my butt.
I just burned out because of the number of repeats that I had to do on a genre that I'm so bad at. But I
I
really enjoyed the story. It's just that I couldn't hack the pace of the actual game. It was a simple case of skill issue.
I had to go into training mode and sit down and figure out some basic corner combos with Ragna because there's a fight where you have to beat Unlimited Hazama in Continuum Shift, and he's a monster. Like he's got an aura around him that will permanently be active the whole fight, and if you're within its range, it's a huge range too. It will just steadily drain your health and add it to Hazama's, unless he's in hit stun. Then the aura goes away. So you've got to wait for him to do something and get a counter hit and keep him in a combo as long as you can. And the only way to figure that out is to sit down and take Ragnar into training mode and like, I need to at least learn some baby combos here, or I'm never ever going to get through this fight. But even then, that seemed okay for me. I was so newer at fighting games at the time. I had more experience than you did. But I didn't mind a difficult boss fight for the climax of the story mode, like Unlimited Hazama or something.
I was not at the climax of the story mode.
Oh,
Like,
Unlimited Rachel is just luck.
That's the thing. Unlimited Rachel was like, not only was I inexperienced at fighting games, I'd never played a fighting game that had zoning characters in, let alone a zoning character like Unlimited Rachel.
You just didn't like all the animals being blown in from off screen all the time?
Is this a fighting game?
No, this is you fighting the wind and the animals.
There are enough things on the screen that it might well be a Musou game. Like, Unlimited Rachel is serious business, and Unlimited Ragnar was not much better. Like, I got through Unlimited Ragnar in the end as well. Like, I got through Unlimited Rachel as a fluke. Like, I'm pretty sure I couldn't replicate it. Yeah. Unlimited Ragnar, I had to get good in order to do Unlimited Ragnar, but it was still rough because every time you take a hit, he gets his health back. Yeah. So you basically have to do a near perfect in order to complete that fight.
Yeah, Unlimited Ragnar has his Blood Cane super active without the health cost permanently. And so every single hit is a massive life drain.
Going down this hole.
Oh, the Croc's back. Oh, pop the Crocs. How are we making progress on Croc fins?
I need 6 more fins, and then I'll have all of the fins that Yo needs.
we can abandon the crocodiles until you pull another character. But yeah, I went back and watched a story summary that was 3.5 hours long of all the BlazBlue games just to see that story
summary. Yeah, I've looked actually at a summary of what it would take to get at least a rough idea of the Honkai Third storyline, and it looks like it's gonna be about 50 hours.
Yeah. Oh nope, they like me today. Oh nope, they changed their mind. Changed their mind. Oh, changed my mind. Back here, perp. But yeah, this actually started because Guilty Gear's been getting a bit of coverage in the news lately because the new character came out for it, and I was curious as to how the two games are actually related and what their stories are like compared to each other for BlazBlue and Guilty Gear.
They're related?
Well, they didn't have the same writer, but they were the writer for Guilty Gear mentored the guy that wrote the BlazBlue story, basically. So they're not related in the sense of like a continuity in the universe or anything, but they're related in terms of their writers being good buddies. And so I watched a summary of all the Guilty Gear games and how their stories wind up. And the Guilty Gear story is just an exercise in, whereas BlazBlue is an exercise in how complicated can we make this thing I wrote in middle school be at the end of the day. The Guilty Gear story is just how stupid can I make this story and still get away with it?
I thought it started out pretty serious, didn't it?
Yeah, it is. But we got just.
But ultimately, like a character being treated like incredibly seriously and as being like threatening and spooky, like Dr. Faust.
Yeah, Dr. Baldhead is he has quite a few quirky moments as the series goes on. And this gets very evident in the brief animation clips they showed in the summary. But the only thing that I'm going to remember about the summary long term though is because of convoluted nonsense. Um, Kai, the rival character, the lawful knight type character with the lightning powers, the opposite of Soul Bad Guy, your main protagonist. Uh, he finds
Is this the guy that's the Gen XP? I mean,
yeah
the other way around.
yeah. So the guy that is the Gen XP finds out that
Oh, Jun is the Kai XP.
yeah. So it's the equivalent of Jin finding out through some convoluted nonsense that he is technically way after the fact that he's been married for a while. Ragna is his father-in-law.
I mean, doesn't Kai marry Dizzy?
Yes, and
Isn't Dizzy like 3 years old or something?
not anymore. Enough time has passed.
Okay,
She's
because
pretty dang
that's
old now.
otherwise sus.
Yeah, she was probably still way too young in terms of real world years, but Dizzy is special, and that she skips
Yeah,
several.
that's what they all say.
But I didn't think too hard about it because a big enough time skip appeared to have happened. I just kind of let it ride. But he marries Dizzy, and Dizzy is the clone daughter of. Yeah, she does have feet, but she's the clone daughter of Soul Bad Guy's dead fiance. So through some twisted logic, this makes Soul Bad Guy Kai's father-in-law.
I
And
mean, if it winds up Kai, it's probably worth it for comic value.
it was. You just see the music. They play the whole scene in full, and the music just cuts out, and his jaw just insta drops as soon as he realizes it. And you see Dizzy and the other girls in Kai's house talking with each other about how this is a very interesting revelation, and Kai is just getting more and more horrified as it settles in with him. And I think it's like one of the lines is like, "This is the worst possible outcome imaginable." Period. It could not get any worse. And then the doorbell rings, and Soul Bad Guy shows up for dinner.
How does a family earn the name Bad Guy?
Not his real last name,
Okay.
apparently. Soul Bad Guy's actual first name is Frederick, but I don't remember what his last name is.
Did you decide Frederick didn't sound tough enough?
Apparently, the government gave him the moniker "the Bad Guy" when he was running around destroying Gear Labs early on in his history, and so that's how he got his bad guy name. I don't know where Soul came from. So yeah, it's quite the
Oh.
ridiculous story they got going on there.
But it went woke, so I don't have time for
What's interesting about that actually is Bridget is a nothing character in the story. The story summary in For As Long As It Was for Guilty Gear didn't they mention in like 30 seconds. Oh yeah, Bridget was a mercenary, and the bit they revealed in that uh pulls a Chihiro effect on Bridget, so they're going woke on Bridget doesn't make any sense. Where the clan that Bridget was a part of originally, uh, their family was one of the heads of the clan, and it was considered very bad to have twin boys, so they raised Bridget as a girl to stop their clan from freaking out about it. And so when they came of age and Bridget's brother inherited the clan leadership, Bridget left the clan to go out and prove that he could become a real man and come back to his village once he'd become manly enough. So
it.
that's
If anything, that just makes it worse, in
yeah.
my
So
opinion.
it's not only that they went woke; they just totally retconned it. They just totally just undid all of that. But yeah, that's it for Bridget. And Bridget is never ever relevant to the story at all, as far as the summary was concerned. But by contrast, Blaze Blue, while it has its gag reels and ridiculous moments, they are uh, overshadowed, I think, by the sheer complexity Blaze Blue has as a story and setting as it goes on. And there's a lot to really chew on in the Blaze Blue setting. Oh, the Crocs are probably back. And sit down and really figure out about the setting, and going through a recap of the whole series helps piece together some things you might have missed if you were going through it release by release like I was from the second game onwards. And what's interesting is the whole Blaze Blue story. How it came to be makes total sense when you know the history of it. Where the writer was friends with the Guilty Gear guy, who also loved making big ridiculous stories. But the story for Blaze Blue, the only reason Blaze Blue got greenlit was because they lost the rights for any Guilty Gear characters made after the first game. For a while Guilty Gear's rights were hung up in publisher hell. And then, so they need a new game. So the Guilty Gear writer got his buddy to come in and start putting together this idea for a story he'd been working on since middle school, and just adding ideas to in his head to just keep.
My Ningguang has no health. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh, right. There's no statues of the seven. Ah.
Maybe Barbara can heal her.
No, I'll go somewhere else. You need your ult for when we decide that we're going to face tank something we shouldn't.
Yeah. So a lot of the ridiculousness and overcomplexity of Blaze Blue makes sense when you know it's like that. But yeah, going back through it, I just really like Blaze Blue. I like its characters. I like its world. I like its gag reels. Like it's a shame that series is now pretty well and truly dead after its mobile game flopped for a while. Like it's got entropy effect on PC, but that has nothing to do with the Blaze Blue universe and just uses the characters. And entropy effect's okay. It's not super
Isn't there
great.
a VN as well?
Yeah, it's got some VN spin-offs. It's got some manga spin-offs. The Remake Heart VN, for what it is actually pretty good. And or not VN, the manga. From what I remember anyway. Although incredibly sus. And that its writer clearly had some tastes, pun intended. And that the protect
all of my crystals.
I vacuum them all.
And yes, and it caused me some severe problems, so now I have no energy.
Well, now I don't either because I just ate both of those lightning balls in the face. But yeah, the Remix Heart manga, the character that gets the Grimoire's superpowers, it's a Grimoire that can copy anything, but for some reason, its copy power gets tied to her sense of taste, and so she has to taste things a lot, like Prisma Ilia, eat your heart out.
Oh my!
But yeah, there's a whole lot of Blaze Blue spinoffs. But yeah, so I went and pulled up a few of the gag reels that I remembered liking and rewatched them, and knew, for the love of God, the Valley or the Sea. Pick one. I think is still the best.
I like new.
Like, ahoy, matey! There be treasure in some junk. They apparently tried to make her the successor to Ragna in the mobile game that failed miserably. But yeah, the death knell of Blaze Blue was they were working on a mobile game, but it took so long to develop. Blaze Blue had well and truly passed its high point, and the hype cycle was totally dead, so the game flopped hard. And the lead writer and guy that was spearheading BlazBlue just left the company. So BlazBlue is probably going to be stuck, and we won't see anything from that universe for a while.
Right.
But yeah, it's I like the way Arc System Works is handling its simplified gameplay systems for some games though. I love Granblue Fantasy Versus Systems. I just if they can get some of the character tweaks that they say are coming next week, right? They nerf Nier, and they said they're not doing any major system changes this balance patch, but they're looking into some of them, and I think dashing light attacks need to be looked at. It's they have a lot of potential to turn that game into something really really fun that'll last a while because it's sticking around. There are regularly full lobbies with 100 people in each region, multiple lobbies. And that doesn't count the people that are just going into the rank play menu or the room matches to just play with their friends or doing the story mode or the single player stuff. So the game's got a lot of sticking power if they choose to continue to invest in it, which I hope they do. It's been a really enjoyable experience, and Granblue is a good enough IP because it's a Cygames IP that I think they can make it work. But it remains to be seen with that. We'll have to see how this current balance patch goes if they totally ignore Nier and don't do anything to help out some of the characters that are really riding the struggle bus, like Percival. We might have to be worried, but that'll be stuff I can hopefully report on next week if I got the time. But yeah, I'm stretching for stuff I did. I didn't actually play any BlazBlue or Guilty Gear. I just had summaries of their stories and development history on as YouTube videos on the other monitor. So I'm really stretching my week here because I just don't have very much. I did get
You're ruining our meager credentials as a gaming podcast.
yeah. I did the gameplay I did play this week was in Granblue, like I said, and I did get Charlotta to S rank and lost the S rank and then got the S rank back today. Lost it very briefly.
Well, I mean, you aren't putting really in the time required to be a serious contender.
No, bottom of S rank feels about right for where my skill's at right now. I just I don't
With that specific character.
yeah. I don't have the time invested to really sit down in training mode and just figure out all the perfect mid-screen corner carries and all the best corner combos and damage optimizations and lab out when to use DP on every single block string for every character yet. Like it's just not something I got. And if I wanted to monomaniacally pursue that, I guess I could. But I just don't like labbing fighting games. I like learning organically, and Granblue's really good for that. In most fighting games, I can't just play and figure stuff out. But because of the way Granblue is and its simplified mechanics, I can just play and figure stuff out because there's a whole lot of stuff that's universal between all the characters, like raging strikes, raging change, spot dodging. Medium DPs are invulnerable. With and what else? Like dashing light attacks existing, even though they drive me up the wall. You know, crush counters on all standing heavies and dashing heavies. A whole bunch of stuff is just universal across all characters, so it's very easy to pick up any character and just start playing them and figuring stuff out. The game's also very forgiving with what it lets you chain together as far as basic combos go. So the start of every combo can be pretty well freeformed as long as you pick something that makes sense. And most single button chains will chain to a triple combo, a triple auto combo at the very least, that you can then do more off of if you really practice the characters and just keep trying different stuff at the end of it. Eventually, you'll find stuff that keeps connecting. So it's very, very friendly to people that like to learn as they play rather than lab and then go into ranked. But yeah,
Is that just the norm of fighting games?
Yeah, if you want to get past the high rank barrier, you pretty much have to lab in every other fighting game. I broke into the high ranks at the very bottom without having to lab at all. All that Charlotta you're seeing is me just playing real matches, either against random people in the lobbies or against Ibu while I practiced, and just figuring stuff out as I went. I did practically zero lab time with Charlotta. So it is very very friendly to that, and the fact that I could break into the high ranks with by just doing that is a testament to how well the game is put together for that type of experience of just play the game and you will get better. But yeah, I don't really have very much else. I want to have a. I'm still looking for a game to slot into the place Relink was, but I just don't have it yet. I need to. I really, I really need to just stop and pick a game to slot in that spot because I really don't want to burn Genshin completely out. If I run out of exploration content to do with Genshin, I'll just stop playing. So I'm trying to hold on it as long as possible. But we'll have to see. I'm finally at the crocodiles instead of bouncing on the mushroom while I talk.
I'm being murdered by hill shells outside because I keep stepping in the bubbles.
I see numbers, but it's kind of over the cliff. Oh,
Well, I mean, when does Wuthering Waves come out? Supposedly that's a solid explorer with. Because I would in a totally self-serving way, I want you to play it so that I can find out whether or not they've actually managed to put solid action game mechanics in a mobile game, or whether it's just people who don't know about action games who are saying that.
yeah. It's on the radar as definitely a potential slot filler for that. But it's in May. Listen, we can treat this as a GNU's slide if I can pull up my web browser because I just had this thing up. I didn't post it. Pretty sure that I saw a TechRaptor article about it, and they're usually short enough for me to quickly skim through.
While you do that, I'm gonna heal because I took a lot of damage fighting those hell shells because I'm bad.
May 22nd.
Right, so it's still a little ways out.
Yeah, so we still got another basically 2 months. Okay.
When is
Hopping in the croc hole.
when is whatchamacallit?
It's okay.
My mind is just not cough. My mind's not coughing up the word I was looking for. Oh, Elden Ring expansion.
June.
When is Dawn Trail?
Good question. I knew this a little bit ago, but I do not remember. It's on the tip of my brain, but it's earlier than most expansions launch in the year. Oh, hang on. I got Barbara. Barbara, why you do this? Perp one down, then I can bunk. Yeah. Dawn Trail will be a bit. Dawn Trail, at least initially, is going to be another high focus game. Until we get past the story mode and all the new content for the first time, where I'll be doing it. I'll be doing the multiplayer focus stuff with you guys and Ibu and whoever else is around, and I'll be doing the story mode stuff on my own, and that'll be all that will require me paying attention, but with complete attention the whole time. So there's that. Wuthering Waves, we'll see. Action games I can get into a groove with. It depends on the game and how much I play it and really get into it. Like I got into
Things are done.
You done with Crocs?
No more Crocs.
Free Crocs.
Crocs are over. I will never croc no more.
Until you need somebody else that needs Crocs. So yeah. I've intentionally not looked very much at Wuthering Waves, not to keep myself from setting expectations based on gameplay. I've looked
Honestly, I have not seen anything that makes me think that, oh, this is incredible. But then again, I have seen a lot of stuff that makes me think I can't tell if this is real complexity or just graphics that make it look like complexity.
Yeah, because if it's coming out on mobile, we're gonna have a control issue. Where to have a proper action game with enough options on every character to make them really fun and interesting, you're gonna have to. Oh, what's a good word for it? You basically you need more buttons, and you could put all those buttons on their own unique skill cooldown or whatever, and just have a bunch of them on mobile and cram them all in a corner or something. But I doubt they're going to go that route because that would make it obnoxious to play on mobile. So I really don't know what they're going for and how they're going to make the action combat translate on mobile. It's something I just don't see.
From what I've seen of the UI, the impression that I have gotten from it is sort of along the lines of they're using a lot of timing based mechanics rather than just having more buttons.
Oh, so like your Devil May Cry style pause combos.
Perhaps. And also things like attacking in certain timings. Like there might be like a pulse bar or something that will present particular moments that are good for you to be doing a move during, and you
Okay.
need to kind of align your rhythm of combat with that. Not quite rhythm game style, but sort of like evocative of that. Like, this is not me knowing anything about the game. This is me having seen like the UI functional and clips of gameplay and trying to interpret at a glance what is actually going on there, which is quite difficult to do. But yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on. But the thing is that a lot of the people who are saying the combat is complex, for all I know, they're just saying that because, well, the other type of action combat that they know is Genshin.
Yeah, Genshin is you have a dodge that has buckets and buckets of iframes on it, and character skills that are one skill and one ultimate. So not a whole lot you're working with there. But yeah, they obviously can't go the model I think is the optimal model, which is the Devil May Cry Bayonetta 1 and 2 model, which is you have uh, type 1, attack type 2, special attack type, modified by what direction you're holding on the stick, and then further modified by lock on. Are you locked on or not? Like, I think that is a perfectly serviceable model that does not require any kind of complicated uh, input motions on the controller. The worst you get is forward back for things like drive on Dante, and that's not a move you throw out very often. That's something you open a fight with and then don't use again, if you even choose to use it. So they're obviously not going to be able to do that though because the lock on modifier simply won't be there. I sincerely doubt they'll allow a proper lock on in this game that you can press to hold to turn on and let go of to turn off.
I couldn't comment. I don't really know what their design rubric is, although it seems like their goal has pretty much been to implement more rewarding um, action combat into Genshin, basically. Like they're using Genshin as the template. But from what various people have been saying about it, the difficulty levels for bosses and such like and elite enemies is based on actually increasing the move set and the pace of combat in those fights rather than just making them a bigger hit point sponge.
Yeah, and that's good if you're going to focus on the action combat. When it comes to in-game progression, though, almost certainly a worry is that they're going to have you got to do bigger numbers.
Well, the thing is, what every commentator has said that I've seen so far on it is not worrying about the big numbers thing, worrying about burnout, because the amount of attention required to successfully complete farming bosses will absolutely roast your brain.
Yeah.
Like if you needed to be concerned about like Devil May Cry reflexes in all of those crocodile bosses that we did, like you wouldn't have much left in the tank by now after
Yeah.
all the bosses we did.
Yeah, I did my marathon attempts on Dante Must Die Virgil trying to get that S rank on him my first time. That was an experience. It's a very very intense fight. I do love the fight, but that was I only had S rank that one time. It's so we'll have to see. It sounds like that would be my type of game, is one that for the boss type farming requires high focus, but still has a Genshin style open world to go and explore and run around in. Like that seems like something that's right in my ballpark.
Well, everything is in the execution.
Yeah, because that's when it comes down to with action games. You can bill yourself as an action game, but are you a Devil May Cry or are you a Bayonetta 3? You can totally drop the ball. Like it's and there's no way to really tell from gameplay whether or not they dropped the ball or not. Like we had warning sirens going off with Bayonetta 3, but we didn't know just how bad it was until we booted up the game. So there are still people that are trying to defend Bayonetta 3's gameplay. Like
Yeah, nah.
like, do you realize what this series has been about and the type of fan base it's cultivated? This is the antithesis of what they play Bayonetta for. We don't want to just summon a big F off monster that explodes and kills all the enemies for us. And that be the optimal way to get a high score and required way in some verses. No, no thank you. We're here to practice and learn and master one character with whatever weapon sets we like. And 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 look cool while doing it. No, 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 no. Okay. Summon the big F off demon, blow it up, self destruct button. Okay. Sure. Sure, video game. Whatever you say. I am still like one of only 1,000 people that have pure platted that thing on the leaderboards, apparently.
Well, who would bother?
Yeah, it was a state of I cannot believe it this bad. where I was where I was going through it. And I just had to prove to myself, okay, I need to be sure I know what I'm talking about with this one. It wasn't quite a hate platty. It wasn't just completely offensive like Dino May Cry was, but it was still really bad. It only looks worse the more I think of it in retrospect. Pigeon
Well,
murder.
and some other than the fact that the Dino May Cry was like overtly insulting, like I think that the problem is more or less the same. They basically abstracted the spectacle out from the rest of the game. And they made the spectacle the game rather than the game generating spectacle.
Yeah,
And like, because the reality is that I, without ever having touched Devil May Cry, I played DMC Dino May Cry on hard, which was the hardest difficulty available when you started up, and I still cleared the entire thing without any difficulty in a single stretch. Like that's if I can do that with zero experience, the game is not good. Like this goes beyond too easy. The game is not good because I was just spamming my way through that.
Yeah. It's that game has a whole mess of issues. But
But
yeah.
the enemies are neatly color coded for your convenience.
Yeah. And you can tell when somebody's at the helm that genuinely cares about the game being a good video game. Like when Itsuno did Devil May Cry 5 afterwards, you can tell from go he had two objectives: make game fun, make characters look good, and allow freeform combat that is still fun. That was it. Those were the two primary goals. Everything else was secondary. And he kind of just threw the story at bingo and said, "Do what you did again."
The less said about the story, the better. My goodness.
Yeah, but then you look at Dino May Cry, and you have fedora tipping abortion enthusiast Virgil over there.
Ugh. And the FU beast.
And
The dialogue writing, my goodness.
what's
What a magnum opus that was.
what's doubly hilarious is there is an FU in a boss fight in Devil May Cry 5, but it is the final boss as Nero to his deadbeat dad who wouldn't pay child support and took his arm. And it is such a cool, awesome moment because it's also when he goes Devil Trigger in sync with it, and when he does it, the music cuts on with full lyrics with a remix of Devil Trigger called Silver Bullet. So that's how you do a proper FU correctly, because it's not just thrown out willy nilly or used as back and forth banter. It's used like a swear should be, an outburst of emotion coming from somebody. That's about the only time it's really appropriate just to throw any kind of heavy swear, I think, in terms of writing, is when a character is having some kind of big emotional outburst or really trying to emphasize a point. Otherwise, the swear loses all meaning and doesn't do anything. But then you got Dino. And we all remember the scene with Dino.
Yeah. Somebody thought that was totally radical, I'm sure.
That was when the idea of Millennium writing really sat in with me. That, oh no, this is going to be a thing.
How you appeal to the kids, man.
Yeah, it was that early stage millennial writing, right when that trend really was starting to kick off, and that generation of people was starting to enter the workosphere. Good gravy. So we'll see with Wuthering Waves. Although speaking of Itsuno, uh, that does lead to a nice segue into Dragon's Dogma 2. I have played a little bit more of it. Um, not very much more of it. About four, maybe 5 hours more of it. And have gotten to the second of the two. The game is only two zones, basically, if we think of them like Final Fantasy style, but they're both really big, like really freaking big. So I made it to the other half of the continent, and uh, the performance issues are really dragging it down for me, and I may have to put it on the shelf until a few patches come through.
Well, I mean, I guess at least that's a fixable problem and not a fundamental design problem.
Yeah. I'm okay with the lack of fast travel and getting lost in a world and all that. Number one, I'm not really in the mood for getting lost in a world right now. It's not the state of mind I'm in at the moment. It's just you know how you know if you play a game right now you'll like it if you're in a different headspace, but right now you're just not in that headspace.
Right.
It's that kind of feeling with the get lost in open world thing, because I can be fine with no fast travel and just getting lost in a world wandering around, but I just don't feel I'm in that headspace right now, and I don't. I'm really struggling with performance. Like I could keep munching through it, and probably would keep munching through it anyway if it wasn't for the performance problems. But every time I go into town, seeing my FPS tank to 15 or 20, that's a no go. And having to chug a lug through town, especially when so many quests are taking place in the capital at the point in the story I'm at. So I think they did have a minor patch that came out and addressed some of the issues. They included a new game button. This is also
Wow. Revolutionary design.
Yeah, this has been a problem with several game releases lately, where they just assume you will always want to continue your save file and don't allow an easy way. Devil May Cry 5 is guilty of this too. they tie your save file to whatever account you're logged into on the device you're logged in. So the idea is that you'll switch profiles to pick up for somebody else, but maybe I want to reset my progress just to play through the game again and get all the S ranks again. Then there's just no new game option. So Itsuno's last game had the same problem, and I have to go dig the save file out of the save folder and manually delete it every time I want to reset it. And I've had to reset it a few times. Tells you how much I play that video game. But this is also segueing properly into the news section that I have the article for that outlines the patch notes properly. There we go. But yeah, the fact this wasn't in the game at launch is just indicative of a problem I've run into, and it's not just these games. I can't come to other ones with the exact examples off the top of my head, but it's definitely an Itsuno problem in that he just has got suckered into the you'll just sign on to your account and that will be your save file will be tied to your account on your device, so your Steam
A
account or
live
your
service.
yeah. The problem with
It all comes out of that whole live service transition that all the companies are attempting to do, where everything is tied to the person on their account in an ongoing way.
yeah, and this is less of a problem in Devil May Cry 5. Having to go and delete the save file is annoying, but it still has basically no impact on anything else. You can just go in there and delete the save file and you're good to go. However, with Dragon's Dogma 2, they had a very serious issue in that they crammed anti-cheat onto this thing. And tampering with your files when they don't match up with what's on the server is a no-no according to anti-cheat, and was banning some people, seemingly at random, who deleted their save file to start over. If they had rested an in, and if the anti-cheat was feeling particularly antsy that day, it would ban them from online play for 3 days. So this was what I was worried about with the anti-cheat, and it seems to be a thing that's happening just by the raw number of people saying it's happened to them. Obviously, I can't go and verify that they're not just lying, but given the amount of people that have said it's happening, I'm willing to say it's probably happening. So that was a problem. That's thankfully been addressed with new game being added. This revolutionary new feature that we've never heard of before of just being able to play the game again.
I saw a lot of people very, very confused when the news came out because they weren't aware of what the issue was and they weren't playing the game. But I saw people were confused. It's like, hold on, how do you ship a game without a new game button?
Yeah.
But realistically, while they were mistaken, that is the problem, though, right? That fundamentally, people are still shipping an incomplete product.
Yeah. And they have instead of them restocking steadily over time, they now just gave the vendor 99 of the respec your character or recreate your character item that he just always has. And every time his shop would refresh, instead of adding one to his stock, he caps back out at 99. So you don't have to worry about running out of those anymore. And you can buy them in game fairly easily. This was the biggest point of contention because I was not the only person that made a character do the chicken run. And there are also some people, that you make a character in the character creator, and even though it gives you lighting options you can preview it at, maybe when you get out in the world, something looks a little effed up, and you're like, I don't really like that when it actually gets there. Only being able to tweak it a couple times before you had to wait on the shop to refresh was...
Your character spontaneously manifests freckles.
Yeah, see Mikode. At this point, I find that a point of charm. Because we just have to live with it.
That's called Stockholm Syndrome.
Like, we're never gonna get our mysterious freckles that appear and disappear under control. So yeah, they just straight up made the vendor have 99 of the recustomize your character items, so you can just buy as many as you can afford, and then go futz around in the character creator as many times as you want to get your character right. They've allowed this was an odd one. I didn't think this was strictly necessary, although I can understand why they did it for people that are annoyed at the more open world aspect and the very hefty expense of resting in an inn. If you want to rest at an inn, it's going to cost you at minimum 1,000, more likely 2,000 gold, and that is not a small sum of money, especially in the early game. And you do have to rest. So if you're getting pummeled out in the open world because you haven't got a handle on the combat yet, and constantly needing to go back to town to rest to get your max HP back to full, uh, that could be pretty heavy on the pocketbook. So they've just moved a quest that lets you buy the cheapest house to be available as soon as you enter the capital. So as soon as you go from the starting town to the capital, you can buy a house right away, and you don't have to pay to sleep at your house. You can sleep there whenever you want.
You don't have to pay to sleep at your house.
Well, you do have to pay to buy the house, but once you buy it in the game, you keep it forever. So
Most of these just seem like nonsense, unforced errors, though.
yeah,
This isn't like, oh, we thought this would be a feature, but apparently people don't like it. This is like just goofy crap that doesn't make any sense.
yeah, it's just something tells me this game needed about 2 or 3 more months in the oven, and it its PC port probably needed about 4 or 5. I was honestly surprised that it was coming out already. I thought it had about that long left in the oven before it came out, and it snuck up on me because it just kind of seemed about right for this type of game, and it looks like that was a rather accurate guesstimate. So so yeah, good old what are you doing? Way. Oh, went on this island.
Well, the thing is, with Yo Miko, you need handguard.
Oh
Lots of
right.
handguard.
Oh, so you
And
need.
there are very few samurai, and they drop very few handguards. So what choice do I have
Yeah,
except to just hunt them? And this island is where the most of them are, as far as
yeah,
I'm aware, anyway.
yeah. I had to farm them for a weapon at one point, and I spent a lot of time in good old Inazuma. So I had time to get enough handguards to then use them all up when Yamiko needed them. I am actually currently handguard blocked, so I can just follow you around on the runner skills. It's a lot of more you're dropping on my head. I do not remember how the heck to get up there. Ah, that's how you get up there. That's a way to get up there. But yeah, so other fixes are minor performance enhancements that help a little bit. Stuff like the DLS super resolution being tweaked to work a bit better, and stuff like the ability to kill ray tracing, and that's all on PS5 though. They and fixed some of the display options to function better and save you more CPU space. Like that's all nice and all, but it's still not enough to fix my FPS issues in capital cities at least. So they're making progress, but this game needed more time in the oven. It's almost there. It's so frustrating because it's almost a done game. Almost. They're so close. Missed it by that much.
Yeah. I mean, from what a lot of people are saying, it's still a good game that's worth playing. They just cocked up a lot of easy things that shouldn't really be cocked up.
Yeah, so I'm moving this firmly in the wait a few months for some patches to come through and touch it up before giving it a shot. Although I will say the thief class seems like it's easily the most busted of the classes, because you would think the dual wieldy dagger class would be great for climbing up on monsters, maybe, and or dealing critical hits on small enemies, and it is. But they also gave it a kunai on a rope, so it has a ranged attack.
I see.
And this kunai on a rope doesn't just deal range damage. You hook it into whatever you throw it at, and then yank on the rope really hard. So anything in the air is coming down if it gets hit by the kunai on the rope. So I really don't know what they were thinking with the thief class. It just kind of seems like the best. Oh, and it just has straight up invulnerability.
What?
It's got a move that lets it auto dodge any non-elemental attack thrown at it. I can hear.
This seems like overkill.
Yeah, so if the enemy doesn't have an enchanted weapon or the attack isn't elementally aligned or a special magic attack, you just auto dodge it. And
that doesn't seem very fair at all.
And you can keep it active as long as you've got stamina. And furthermore, dodging does not increase the stamina drain either.
Well, I mean, it's a single player game at least.
Yeah. It's just things like that should have more time in that oven. These are things you
Indeed.
Well, I am come save the day.
I can only solo so long at this scaling when I've got no healer because you're carrying the healer.
Oh wait, you're dead.
Yes, I am. I wasn't kidding when I said everything can one-shot me. Well, two-shot me. But I'm never on full health around here because of scaling.
So yeah. I would love to give Dragon's Dogma a bigger recommendation because it's is really good at designing good combat games and good fun. I think I just stole your crab by accident. Taking your crab.
Picking my crabs.
Remember to go back to a statue to get your Ningguang back.
Now you can do it.
Okay. Where did you go? Busted you. Oh, you're over there. It takes a second for your icon to appear sometimes when you teleport away.
I feel like it appears faster if you zoom out.
Ah! Hang on, we got Mirror Maiden problems.
Oh, why have you done this?
Hang on, I brought over some ammo. Where did she go? Oh, that's not good. Bopped. Okay, I'm coming to Bop. Do your official name thing. I just saw a barrage of like 2Ks and a 3K show up because all my white damage lagged behind. But yeah. So that is one of the two news stories I posted that segues from my week. It is unfortunate because I really want to give the game recommendations and say, yeah, this is a totally good game, but I just on PC I can't.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people seem to be adopting the opinion that it's bad simply because people are talking about it being bad.
Yeah. I've seen a whole lot of misinformation going around about the microtransactions in particular, and people freaking out about that thing. Those are such a storm in a teacup that I genuinely don't see them as an issue. Because the amount of currency you acquire is more than sufficient to purchase the exact same items in the game. You know what? Up in Navi
These
and
things do not generate very many handguards. No, sir, they do not. Man, how am I going to get over there? Miles away from any of the teleport points I've got unlocked.
I'm gonna do something dangerous. I know it's to the right of me, but your icon isn't appearing on the map yet.
Oh, hold on. Can I actually go there? That looks like it's within the Doom zone.
I don't know how Doom's.
No, the marker on the map requires me to walk through an awful lot of lightning. So I might be at the end of my ability to use that thing to navigate for me.
I know where a few are. We follow the shuttlecock. Take you there. We are at the middle island on Azuchi Beach near the north. Have you already got all these?
I don't know.
Nope, there's still some here. Off the point, so you on it.
There are a bunch right next to teleport that I went.
Oh, the other one? Yeah, we'll be looping around that way. We're gonna try with Driver Nahida for a while. Make things fun.
Sounds like a terrible idea.
Sounds like a great idea. Turns this guy into a boss fight. I have no energy, so the Matrix is ways off. We gotta wait on the Matrix. There we go. So yeah. Dragon's Dogma, the coverage of it, you brought it up, is particularly frustrating. Because people just don't know what the heck they're talking about.
Yeah, it's been one of the clearest cases of like the regurgitation news ecosystem that I've seen in some time. Like most of these people clearly didn't bother to check any information about it before deciding to propagate it.
Mm-hmm. It's so laughably bad. They don't have a clue about the microtransactions or what even the items do. They're saying like the summon harpy device thing is a fast travel item. No, it literally just lures a bunch of harpies to you, and you can grab one to get up a little higher. But the levitate spell works just as good or better. In fact, it works better because you can't use the harpy lure outside.
Why are they selling it then?
Because Itsuno has a history of needing to just
Autism?
well, he needs to put the stupid microtransactions in there to appease the shareholders. But if his interview for Devil May Cry 5 is anything to go by, he hates doing it. Oh, he's blooming all in the water.
On-field official, not the best.
Okay, playing alternate characters. Oh, that'll probably summon a dude with a sword if you touch the lightning thing and then touch the sword.
Where is the light?
It's over here. I don't know if he'll drop one, but we can see.
I don't know if he's going to take any damage from me, is he?
He's getting electro reactions every time I hit him, so he might be electrode. That 24k reaction. Oh, I have the matrix up. Oh, got a chest. Ooh, and handguards.
Oh my goodness, these guys are so much stingier even than the Fatui.
Yeah, there are a crap load of them though, so I know where a few are off the top of my head that we can go to. Just follow the shuttlecock.
Yeah, fortunately, the tracker only wants to take me a place I can't go. How useful of it.
Could be quite a few once we. I forget if there's any more on this pathway. I think there are, but there's also a bunch on the right side island. I think
That's
there's
a whopper flower.
yeah, there's gonna be a few. There's 2 or 3 whopper flowers between us and them. We can just remove the wops.
That's Oasis. I think it's Oasis. I'm not really sure.
Do whopper flowers count as a race? That's
But isn't WOP some kind of slur?
maybe. I'm
I'm
sure.
not quite sure who for.
I just put the wops in the matrix. It'll be fine. So yeah. Now before we go pop those, let me check our other good news because I don't think we got very much. And I don't really have much left to say about Dragon's Dogma 2 or the state of the state of things going on with them. I don't know. Do you have anything else about Dragon's Dogma 2 that you've noticed or would want to make mention of? Because I really don't. It's just been frustrating for me.
Not really. Mainly, it's like, well, I've sort of been ignoring the discussions on the matter simply because there's no real reason for me to trust any of the information after what I've seen.
Yeah, it's. I am glad I picked up the game early just to have context to be able to at least say most people don't know what the heck they're talking about. Don't trust any coverage you hear on it because it's all just people regurgitating whatever the popular opinion is. It is
So whatever Yong Ye said about it or something.
yeah. It really is a case of like random quote unquote influencer said it, therefore must be true. Oh, really? You're gonna summon these dudes after I took my picture already? But yeah, I really don't know what to do about that kind of thing either, because like we don't have the kind of pull you need to just. We don't have the kind of pull you need to offset that kind of thing.
Well, the thing is, it's not a matter of who is doing the pulling. The simple reality is that the outrage bait is always going to have more pull no matter who does it, because
Yeah,
it's outrage bait. That's what it's for. That's why everybody's misrepresenting what's going on. It's because that's how you get more listeners. Like, there's
yeah,
no percentage in just reporting the correct information if you can get people mad instead.
yeah. It's what's especially frustrating is Devil May Cry 5 had the same DLC issues at least. But people tried to make a stink about those, but the game was good enough and didn't have any major other shoes to stop to bring people's opinions in the negative for it.
Well, because it was a good game, people were playing it instead of watching the content.
Yeah, it was a good game. People were playing it instead of watching it, and it was just you didn't have that kind of ability for the commentariat to get their opinions to latch on because there was nothing else negative about it, and it was rather quickly proven that these DLCs are a nothing burger.
Well, because people were playing it.
Yeah, and
They knew it was a nothing burger because the people who were propagating the message weren't mostly people not intending to play the game. Dragon's Dogma is not a big enough name for that, and Dragon's Dogma always had a name for being sort of a cult oddball rather than a smash hit.
yeah, it's a passion project that has some wacky decisions about it. There are definitely some wackadoodleness going on here. Are there some over here? I don't remember. Check. Fine. I think I missed one.
Why you steal my berries, man? How am I supposed to build my furniture without berries?
You need your
Don't
yellow.
you dare steal that. Don't you dare steal that.
No, I know you need these. I'm not touching these.
There's a very short supply of those.
I've only stolen your sweet flowers and your berries. But yeah. So yeah, just if you're interested in the game, I'm gonna tell you to wait, but until you don't listen to the commentary yet. And all of my wait is entirely to do with the fact that whew, something tried to blow me up. Is entirely to do with the performance issues, not the DLC stuff, not any of the other issues like the fast travel stuff that the commentariat doesn't have a clue what it's talking about on. Because it's also hilarious with the commentariat and their opinions on the fast travel system because they clearly don't know how it works or how this game is structured. Make it past that thing. There should be some more dudes on the other side.
Stop and get a
Yeah, they.
crab.
Oh, I see. Yeah, here's some. Here's one. He might have some buddies when we smack him. Nope. He just came alone. Where'd he go? And yeah. It's the fact that I've seen the commentary say things as stupid as you need to pay DLC to have fast travel at all. That level of dumb? No, there's fast travel in the game, and the way it works is you can find teleport points in the world that you pick up and take wherever the heck you want to. Can we sneak? Oh, there's a treasure chest here. We can just kill him.
Can you buy them?
You can buy one. But the other, you can only have 10 out active at a time, and there are 10 in the game. Actually, I think there's 11 in the game, not counting New Game Plus, where you can overcap. So yeah, that is just totally 110% untrue, just made up by the people that were supposedly giving you the news.
Just don't very many. Because of gems, basically, not enough.
Yeah,
and have too many lightning characters to raise.
Yeah. And yeah, let's see what else. That's about it for that topic, I think. Next we have do I have a Wappa flower on me? Is that what happened?
See one.
Oh, that's the tree. Oh, there's some. But yeah. So the other thing's just a newslet, really. Take-Two has eaten Gearbox.
I don't know. I don't think all this like reckless consolidation is necessarily a good thing. The only reason I'm not more worried about it is because the people getting consolidated are worthless to me.
Yeah, as far Anthony Birch is as far as I ever think about Gearbox these days, and I don't care what he does. I just associate Gearbox with Anthony Birch now, and ever.
Didn't they announce that another one was coming out shortly?
Another Borderlands?
Yeah,
Maybe. I wouldn't put it past
like a
them.
fourth one.
That arrange my picture taken and he won't move. Yes, Hyperbloom his butt. But yeah. I don't when it comes to these companies getting gobbled up, I don't it's got to be leading somewhere bad if we eventually just wind up with 2 or 3 major game studios that just publish whatever they want. Like the
Well,
AAA slot.
that is reasonable to suppose that that they are going somewhere bad. However, the question you really have to ask is: are they separate to begin with, in any real sense? Because
Yeah,
they always move as a single entity. The only difference between them are what IPs they happen to have.
yeah.
Because they all do the same things. They employ the same people. They have the same content. They have the same priorities, the same service decisions. Like, what is the difference between any of these American video games companies and the Canadian ones as well?
Yeah, they're all the Canadian ones might as well be an extension of California, but it is hard to tell if there's any difference at all. I think well there might be some on the beach if we can make it past the tree.
Are you just gonna ignore me getting killed by them over here?
Oh, I didn't see you fighting
You
them
just
over.
ran straight through them.
They weren't on my screen at all. Your official Oz will handle it.
The question is, can I survive until Oz is done handling it?
Yeah, no, they just didn't render on my screen at all. I just didn't even see him. Isn't there a lava troll? Did he die in that fiery mess?
Possibly.
Oh, there's still a baby troll over there. Or 2. Yeah, we're getting some pretty bad lag tonight, and I don't really know why it's particularly bad tonight.
Wow, it is Genshin.
Yeah.
Like that, the servers are famous for being iffy. I'm gonna have to try and contact Fern as well at some point because,
Make sure he didn't fall in a hole or something.
yeah, I think I've got a cell phone number. Send him a text.
So yeah. Uh maybe it was just Easter weekend and he got roped into drunk cowboys and has been dying all week. And maybe he just passed out after work. Hopefully that's what happened. That would be nice, but we don't know yet.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I'm a bit, a little bit edgy about it because I had a guy call in sick this week for bereavement. Apparently, his best friend just up and died.
I don't know.
I don't know the story, but yeah, life comes at you fast, and death is the only thing that comes at you faster. So make sure your affairs are in order at all times.
That's gonna be man, Fern, you better be okay now. That's gonna look really bad for us next week if you're not.
No, no, I'm sure he's fine. It's just that that was what I was thinking. Like this week is one of those weeks where you are sort of in as much as Catholics tend to be encouraged to meditate on the 4 last things at all times during Easter, sort of like especially so.
That poor random hilichurl. He didn't do nothing.
You know, Hilichurls are a bit like in that. Why are they even in Ikanomiya? There's nothing there.
You know, there's a lot of questions about hilichurls, and they didn't want to try and answer them until after the hole. Uh, yeah, just murdering all the hilichurls and the Zumas, all the everything in the Zumas. So yeah, I don't really have much more to go on with the news topics. This was a very frustrating week to look for news. I spent hours looking for news and just could not find anything I would call uh, satisfactory for news content. It drove me up the wall how much I couldn't find this week. I'm bringing this lava troll over here to play with you. Where'd Lightning Boy go? Oh, he reset.
He came from quite far afield to invade my fight with the fiery one.
The Hilichurls were apparently guarding a treasure chest. But yeah, I just don't have very much this week for news, which is why we're kind of umming and ahhing at this point. So it might be a good time to just go ahead and wrap it because I don't think we get much
the one thing that I've seen a lot of chatter about that we haven't talked about at all, largely because we can't talk about it at all, is Blizzard's most recent experiment in World of Warcraft. They basically used the WoW engine to make a totally other game that they released called Plunderstorm.
Okay. I don't follow Blizzard news actively at all, so you'll have to enlighten me.
I don't know a great deal about it, except that it's basically apparently like every class is dramatically. I don't think it uses the in-game classes. I think they came up with new ones, but I could be wrong about that. I'm not actually sure because I haven't followed up on any information about it. I just happened to see a certain amount of information kicking about. But what I've seen people saying about it is much more simplified classes. The gameplay is not tab targeting based so much. It's more sort of pseudo action combat, sort of like somewhere more in the vicinity of Guild Wars 2, and it's sort of like a battle royale style of thing, kind of, I think. But it's a totally other game that they released. Instead of it's not part of World of Warcraft, it's not part of Dragonflight. It just uses the same locations and engine.
I see.
Of thing. And you all you need to do it is to have a active subscription. And yeah, supposedly it was launched as a sort of like an experiment into a future game mode, but the marketing people did not communicate it the same way, so it's created a certain amount of kerfuffle because people are the term being thrown around, and this term makes me laugh and cringe in equal measure, is non-consensual PvP. Because people are arguing that they are being forced to participate because there are rewards for your main account. I was under the impression PvP had rewards, generally.
Yeah, it was kind of a big deal in Classic where that High Warlord Grand Marshal gear was something you could take into raids for at least all the way through raid tier 2 or 3.
Yeah, so it's certainly been a big deal. A lot of people are really liking it. Some people think it's okay. Some people are raging at it, but they seem to be raging at it in principle rather than because it's actually a bad implementation. But we've got that same problem we always do, right? Where what does it take to look good in the context of World of Warcraft?
Mm-hmm.
What is your minimum bar for good? Because the minimum bar for good for most people seems to be squarely in the dimension of cope.
Yeah, it's like what are things good compared to Genshin? What's good compared to miHoYo's gacha? That ain't hard.
Yeah, it's like that. miHoYo's gacha is good set next to like traditional FGO gacha, and that's about it.
Still really want you to get through Sumeru just so I can tell myself I'm not crazy and Sumeru actually has a good story.
It's just the whole, man. And there's always this sort of the thing is I just don't want to dump the sheer amount of time into this game while I've still got Honkai Star Rail on the go, because I'm not like miles and miles and miles behind in Honkai Star Rail. I actually have some 5-star characters, which is not something I can say about Genshin, where I, for functional purposes, have no 5-star characters, because all I have is Mona, who's a support for a style of character I don't have, and Klee, who's famous for being unworkable, and that's about all she's famous for. So it's very frustrating for me to play Genshin compared to Honkai. Like, My experience in Honkai is that, well, I can encounter problems, but unless they're based on my congenital lack of luck, I can usually devise a way through it. And I've got some characters that are definitely regarded as good, so I'm not constantly using second-rate tools to do everything, which is definitely the case in Genshin. So Genshin is just harder work for me than other games because I'm playing it on the free-to-play level. Even though I've spent money on it, I'm still playing as though I were a free-to-player.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to drag Furzon around and say, she's not that bad. No. Let's not do that.
She literally is that bad. Like, you can use her as an emo character. It is not impossible to do so by any stretch of the imagination. However, the question is, why not use Sucrose? If you must use a 4-star Anemo character, what's wrong with Sucrose? What can, other than the fact that she's got the range to hit Anemo totems at range, what does Farazan bring that is so critical you couldn't use Sucrose instead, who's just a better character all around?
Oh, for people that don't know, by the way, speaking of bad characters, behold the wonderful skill of the Traveler in Hydro as I drain my HP to do the dinkiest pew pew in the world.
But why? Why is that?
I,
I wonder if they'll make. I wonder if they'll break the trend and make Pyro like really decent.
that would
I
be
think. I think that it's. I honestly think that from a commercial perspective, it would be to their benefit to rework all of the Travelers to be really decent, like very high end 4-star, low end 5-star in terms of actual quality, both the quality of gameplay and raw power. Because I think that they're at the stage where they're going to have difficulty pulling in new people simply due to how far behind it feels to be. Because there are going to be people who feel much worse about it than I do. And I already feel pretty bad about it.
yeah, they've got a problem where if they can't go too far on the power curve. Otherwise they
But the power curve is at Nouvelette now.
well, I meant for
Like,
enemies,
you've got
not for players, for enemies.
yeah,
Because
but that's more or less irrelevant in my opinion. Like, because they clearly don't care. Like I said, Nouvelette is where we are now. Like, you don't need to make every Hilichurl super dangerous. If you want to, like, I think that you really do need to add a sense of power to the Traveler characters. Make them feel like they actually meaningfully interact with things, rather than that they're a dead letter compared to literally everything else in the game. I think that it would be good if people really wanted them in the team. Like, I think that Fire Trailblazer is quite close to where Traveler should be, and that Fire Trailblazer is not able to support a team on her own the way a 5-star support would be, a 5-star sustain would be. She can't do it by herself. However, she has an incredibly useful kit with special tools that are important to overcome certain challenges. And generally speaking, I've used Fire Trailblazer a lot. Like, partly it's because I don't have 5-star alternatives, but partly it's just because Fire Trailblazer has a hard taunt, and that's something nobody else can really do. She can force an attack provided that your spell hit is high enough, because this is like vanilla World of Warcraft.
I leave you.
That's sort of like, there's nothing like that offered by Traveler. There's no like particular version of Traveler that gives you this really special utility that, while you might not want to build a team around it and it's not going to make you meta, it does allow you to build teams that can perform really well and make you feel in control of combat. Whereas, my impression of playing Traveler was always like everything you do is basically spitting into the wind.
Yeah, the closest they came was Dendro Traveler, and I get the feeling the only reason they did that with Dendro Traveler was because basically Dendro was a brand new element. And they wanted people to actually experiment with the element, and aside from throwing Kali at them for doing Spiral Abyss or whatever, they they wanted to make sure that people could use the element actively. and the only way they could guarantee that to happen was to make the Traveler's Dendro element usable. And it's still not optimal because they released Nahida right afterwards, obviously. But and it's a comical jump in power for from Dendro Traveler to Nahida. But for that brief period of time, Dendro Traveler was considered really, really, really good until Nahida came out, and then she was totally worthless. But if you don't have
Well,
Nahida
I mean,
and you do want to play with Dendro, she is still a usable option.
she's only useless from the meta is the only thing perspective though. Like the Dendro Traveler is still like it's wrong. It's incorrect to call her good because the bar for good has been raised, but she's not bad.
Yeah,
She's just not. She's not the meta choice. But in that context, like every Electro character that is not Raiden Shogun is also bad if Dendro Traveler is bad because Raiden Shogun basically trumps everything.
Yeah, it's just speaking in perspective of just the Traveler itself, it's like they finally put out a good Traveler, and then they they or the Traveler could compete, and then Dendro Traveler did everything, or rather, Nahida did everything Dendro Traveler was trying to do, but better.
Yeah, well, I mean that's basically the MiHoYo tactic. Is that, like I said before, they will make a 4-star which has the same sort of general theme they're planning on a 5-star and see how well received it is, and if people like the way it feels, then they will build on that concept and release a limited. Which, I mean, it's cynical but effective, and generally speaking, it allows people to gauge what it is that they want to spend their resources on.
Yep.
But I think that Traveler, like, there's no reason that they can't. There's no reason why Hydro Traveler should be as bad as it is. Nouvelette's still in the game. They're not going to make Hydro Traveler like Nouvelette.
Yeah.
So why not make it useful? Why not give you a powerful Hydro themed character to play in the powerful Hydro themed character to play in the Hydro patch? Why not? There's no reason why not.
Yeah.
It's not going to stop people from rolling for Nouvelette and Farina. They're both meta defining.
Yeah,
So what's the problem?
There
doesn't seem to be one to my mind.
You could go pretty far with Hydro Traveler on the buff end. I don't know what they were thinking with the little pew pew water gun.
Like, especially when they make such a big deal in the plot about Traveler's power, and then you get given a squirt gun. It's like you could have at least given it a cool graphic. Like I probably would have forgiven it being useless if it looked really badass when you use it.
If it looked,
because then at least it wouldn't be breaking verisimilitude with the way that characters talk about Traveler.
Yeah. Do you remember in White Knight in the Dresden Files when Carlos busts out his water disintegration laser? If they made it something like that instead of a pew 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 water gun, it would have gone a long way, I think. Because it's just so dinky looking. But yeah, it's we can hum and haw about what we'd like them to do and speculate about where we think they're going, but I think we'll actually get a whole lot of insight into that when they drop the next big character.
Yeah, I think Alatrino is going to be them tipping their hand as the direction they're going. Because if it's like Nouvelette Plus, then we can see that they're just planning to just take the Honkai third route and push the power into the stratosphere. And that will make me a little bit concerned for Star Rail as well, because Star Rail's power level already seems to be kind of ramping fast.
Yeah,
like there are a lot of people talking about leaked kit for Boot Hill and what he's going to be capable of, based on the leaked kit for Imaginary Trailblazer, who's supposedly going to be coming out shortly, according to the leaks.
Mm-hmm.
And in conjunction, those two basically form a god combo. And I understand the commercial logic to that. Like a character that everybody already has forming a really powerful combo with a character that you really want people to buy. Like that's definitely going to that's definitely going to move some units. But that's sort of like that's sort of what I'm saying about Traveler as well. Like, why not? If you don't like the idea of making Traveler powerful in its own right, why not make him an archetype enabler?
Well, yeah, that's what they did with Dendro, and I think it worked fine for there. And
Yeah,
there's
but
no reason.
they did Hydro.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know why they didn't keep that paradigm with every single one because it feels like Dendro Traveler is fine in where they are right now. And if every single element was at the same tier as Dendro Traveler, something that allows you to turn the element on but is very not specialized, that seems like something that would work. But for Hydro Traveler, you've got the squirt gun. And the squirt gun is so bad it's funny. Were they just going for the meme points?
I don't know. It's so nonsense.
All right, I get a
Like,
copy of all these too when you break them.
I mean, Boot Hill seems like a character, but if the leaks are not just like straight up invented and straight up made up, it looks like he's going to not really steal the lunch of the other archetypes at all that are currently going in. He's going to be like a character with the unique ability to isolate a target character in a fight and deal them, type of thing.
Oh,
But and the rumors about Imaginary Trailblazer are the Imaginary Trailblazer will have an ability that allows them to break a broken character. So they can keep depleting a sort of a pseudo break bar after the break has already been done.
oh, I have a Ningguang, so there are two dolls. But yeah,
But yeah, I think that I know it's only speculation, but I'm sort of a bit anxious to see like what are they actually going to do, because I feel while they have different development, different production leads and so on, it does sort of it's going to speak to some extent on what the company as a whole thinks is acceptable for a game in one particular part of its lifestyle lifespan.
yeah. If they just release Frosty Girl and she just continues this power lurch forward that Genshin's been seeing with its latest characters of Farina onwards, we're Star Rail's going to be looking to be in some Genshin style trouble. I think if
Yeah, I mean, so far they have the attack, it seems to have been so far to just make each successive um limited character just like radically novel in what they can do. So like in the case of Acheron, they just scrapped the whatchamacallit, uh the energy bar entirely. In the case of Ruan Mei, she breaks she breaks the target every time anybody breaks a target. In the case of Black Swan, she applies buffs that automatically keep attaching themselves and keep refreshing themselves and stack and stack and stack and stack and will burst each turn, that type of thing. Like their approach to limited characters has been like to break the mold of the game, like find some fundamental rule of the game and break it.
mm-hmm.
Sparkle, like you don't have the same number of energy pips anymore. It's a different approach to Genshin, which is mostly just moved within the same paradigms. Oops, I was out of stamina when I got in the water.
Oh no, official die.
No, Ningguang died because she was up at the time. I have her selected whenever there's mining to do.
Oh no, that goes to the radiation zone. Don't follow that Sele.
Boy,
So yeah, uh, we're following the Hoyoverse games a lot right now, so they're getting a lot of our attention. But
Yeah. We're totally not just a MiHoYo show. So,
well,
but
what?
this happens any time that we are playing a game. Like when we're all playing FF, the show is about FF. When we're all playing MiHoYo games, the show is about MiHoYo games. It's just
Yeah,
the way it be. We're
yeah,
just shooting the shit anyway. So,
yeah. We're just going over
and it's
stuff.
Easter, so nobody's announcing anything new.
Yeah, it's been a very frustrating week to find stuff to talk about, as I mentioned before. Also, I'm pretty sure we have like depopulated this whole island.
Well, I mean,
We got to be almost with a full loop by now.
they're just Inazumans after all.
I mean,
And
as far as I'm considering it, this is a community service.
like
We're just clearing out the homeless.
'cause I am put in mind of the Mitchell and Webb skit. It's like, have you tried killing all the poor?
Bunch of homeless people just hanging out in tents. Village churls on the first island have better shelter than
Oh my
everybody else
goodness.
here.
I always get caught by that damn thing.
Oh, the lightning ring.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why I was sitting there humping him with Shiori. So weird seeing two dolls appear because I'm not used to having another construct maker.
Well, you don't have another construct maker now because she's dead.
Oh no, down to one doll.
But the island pretty much empty, so it'll be time to go to a statue. Unless you've got more news, might also be time to start winding up the show.
Yeah, I was
We don't
about
have
to
to do
say.
5 hours every single week.
Yeah, I was about to say. We've kind of just been zipping around while we've been talking, but after this pack of Village Trolls dies, I think we call it there. That's a lot of elements and a lot of I don't have good answers to most of them. I have to eat food. Go food sack. So yeah, it's been a like I expected, fairly rambly show this week. But I think given our limited news, that's about all we had. So yeah, have you been following any of the current stuff? I'm interested to see. Here's an email topic of the week for you if you've been following it at all. Have you followed or seen any of the Dragon's Dogma 2 news? And what specifically have you seen that I can attempt to talk about and dispel the rumors at? Because this is a very subjective experience of which news outlets you get news from. And I'm wondering if there's any that are even in the ballpark of right. Or have even just maybe at least played the demo. Because it just seems like nobody has actually played this video game. So there you go, making up stuff on the spot. So alrighty, I think we are done for today, folks. You got anything for us in this out?
No, although with the way my health has declined today, I have starting to wonder if I'll be able to be on the next show. Oh my goodness. Why do people keep getting sick and giving it to me?